This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everyone. Donovan Long here, joining you from our FOX6 studios, more specifically from our Wisconsin Live Desk studios. I am so excited about today. Today is game day in Milwaukee, everybody. We're talking about basketball. Yeah, the Bucks season is back, baby. Want to give you a live look now at Pfizer Forum, where the Bucks will open the season right here at home with the Washington Wizards. And boy, is it going to be kind of a homecoming to a degree for a former player who was on the Bucks. We got to talk about this. Chris Middleton, returning to Pfizer Forum, will face off against his former teammates. That is going to be the talk of the town, later today when we see the Bucks open at home against the Wizards here at 7 o'clock, right here in the Deer District where Pfizer Forum is. Let's give you a live look a little closer, though. I mean, guys, this is what we've all been waiting for. We've seen so much about this team in terms of the hype, the people, and the fans as they're getting ready to watch game day here in the city. We do know that the Milwaukee Bucks finished 48-34 overall and 31-21 in the Eastern Conference games a season ago. If you were wanting to check out the new season, though, tickets for all Bucks games at Pfizer Forum, including today's, are available right now at bucks.com/tickets. We do know that we've got some new faces to the team that you'll see inside of Pfizer Forum tonight, including Miles Turner, who, by the way, has pretty much embraced all things Wisconsin. We're talking about all of the traditions here, like apple picking, appreciating Lake Michigan, showing love to the Packers. Of course, when his team isn't playing, he's a Cowboys fan, but said he will root for the Packers every weekend except when the Cowboys play. He's been to Lambeau Field now. He's been to some Brewers games. He is really soaking in all the culture, all the important stuff we like to call he's soaking in all the important stuff that we think make our city what it is. So we're excited to see him play, as well as some other new members of the team. We got to talk about some of the other parts of Pfizer Forum that you'll recognize when you go to the game starting today. I don't know, Delaney, if we have some menu items in terms of what's going to be on the menu. Here they are. We've got some new King's Hawaiian Pretzel Bites, Flower Child Pizza, Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs, Johnsonville Jumbo Brats, the Mecca Burger Bar Loaded Fries. I mean, you guys, they are rolling out the red carpet here. We do know that one of our reporters and talented breaking news anchors, Haley Spittler, was on the scene earlier this morning as the Bucks, the organization, kind of rolled out the red carpet for us, giving us a behind-the-scenes look at Giannis's jersey, his locker in the locker room. Just really all of this in anticipation for the home opener here at Pfizer Forum tonight at 7 o'clock. And speaking of Giannis, he's already tweeting about the game tonight ahead of the opener, the home opener here at Pfizer Forum. I think we can pull that up for you. Let me give you a check. There it is. Giannis Antetokounmpo, in his own words, back to basketball, baby. All those exclamation points. He's hyped up. He's ready to go. I mean, one of the best players in the league, and we are so excited to see him get started during the home opener tonight against the Washington Wizards, including his former teammate right here, Chris Middleton. So this is going to be something to watch for sure as we all get ready to gear up to tip off at 7 o'clock here at home. But guys, it's an exciting part to the Milwaukee sports scene here. This is exciting. We do know that Milwaukee's regular season schedule features 22 weekend games at Pfizer Forum, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Bucks will play 5 Sunday matinees at Pfizer Forum with a 2:30 p.m. tip-off time. Those include matchups against the Houston Rockets, Indiana Pacers, the Clippers. The weekend games at Pfizer Forum will tip off on Saturday, November 1st against the Sacramento Kings. Again, you can expect some new food items. You can expect to see Bango, all of the pomp and circumstance surrounding, the games in the Deer District. We are so excited. Again, the Bucks averaged 115.5 points per game while shooting 48.6% from the field and 38.7% from deep last season. Just to give you some overall stats to kind of put it into perspective for you, kind of give you something, a bit of a launching pad for them to start with, considering what, happened last season. So we're excited about this, man. We are super excited for this. But you can go to the Bucks games, including to the season opener tonight, by buying tickets right now at bucks.com/tickets. I know later in the broadcast here on the digital broadcast, we're going to hear from Stephanie Barkello in terms of what kind of weather you can expect as you get out the door to head to the game, maybe to a bar to watch the game, or maybe to Pfizer Forum to watch it in person. She'll break down what kind of weather you can expect if you're going to be standing in line, scanning those tickets. It's going to be cool. You'll notice that. You'll likely want to bring a jacket. But Stephanie will get all into that and more in just a few minutes. But we are super excited to talk about the Bucks, the home opener tonight. Delaney, really quickly again, can we throw up some of the new menu items for folks just now joining us who are also anticipating an amazing night, amazing start to the season? Here are some of the new food items the Milwaukee Bucks have unveiled, some of which we actually got to see on our broadcast this morning during Wake Up. Pretty cool. One thing to talk about the items, but another thing to see them in person. Our Haley Spitler was just now, was just on Wake Up a few moments ago, a couple hours ago, and on the 11 o'clock broadcast talking about what we can expect to see. These are some of the items here. The King's Hawaiian Pretzel Bites, Flower Child Pizza, Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs, Johnsonville Jumbo Brats, the Mecca Burger Bar, loaded fries, all of that and more. So we are so excited to hear from you as fans, hear what you think of the home opener, hear what you think of some of the food items here, and hear what you think about Giannis, the rest of the team, and the new faces to the team, including the acquisition of Miles Turner, who, by the way, has, as I mentioned, done all things Milwaukee, all things Wisconsin, really. We're talking about going apple picking. We're talking about going to the Brewers games. We're talking about going to Lambeau Field. Says he's going to root for the Packers as long as they're not playing his team, which is the Cowboys. So he's getting in, man. He's getting out there and, really embracing what it means to be a Wisconsinite and what it means to be in Milwaukee. So we're excited to see him kind of, flourish in this new environment. He's been he's been identifying a lot of this on his Instagram about how he's kind of immersing himself into this community. So you can follow his journey through social media as well. If you don't find him on the court, you'll see him online posting about what it's like to be in Wisconsin now. All right, so we have a lot coming up for you on the Wisconsin Live Desk this afternoon. We're going to also hear from Dustin Gotze. He's a Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for the Bucks. He's going to join us and talk all things opening day here at Pfizer Forum in the matter of hours at 7 o'clock here at night. We're going to take a quick, short break, but on the other side, going to talk to him, pick his brain about what this means for this community, what we can expect later in the season, and how they are gearing up right there at Pfizer Forum for an amazing season, starting with the Washington Wizards here at home at 7 o'clock p.m. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long here, your host for the afternoon, for this section of the afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back. I'm sure you have way better things to do than talk about all this stuff with
No,
me.
this is great. Get a minute to sit today. It's perfect.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long here. We are preparing for the home opener. The Bucks open at home against the Washington Wizards. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. So much excitement has been building around this day, so much anticipation. And what better person to come on and talk about what we can expect than this gentleman right here. This is Dustin Godsey, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for the Bucks. Brother, so good to have you on. Thank you for being here with us.
Donovan, appreciate it. Thanks for having us on today.
Yeah, man. Okay, so let's start with from the very top, I suppose. God, an incredible season underway here. What can we expect from the home opener tonight in terms of the food? Like, what kind of atmosphere is going to be set up?
Yeah, we kind of take 6 months to prep for the opener and go through, and it's fun when it finally gets here and all the anticipation kind of goes away and we can stop talking about basketball and we've had all these great moves over the off season and built such a great team, and now we get to actually see it on court, and it's just really fun for us internally, and I think for the community as well to be able to not have to talk about it and see how it all comes together. So we're excited. 7 o'clock tonight, tip off. You talked through some of the new food options, throughout the building. We always are constantly looking to innovate and change things there. We've got some great new merchandise options, including a custom stand on the main concourse that you can go in and not just get your jerseys made, but get hats customized and notebooks and all these sorts of things to create that sort of unique one-of-one sort of item for that. And then, we get into game time at 7 o'clock, and shortly after tip, that first time out, we're welcoming Chris Middleton back for the first time as well. Yes. So it's kind of added special moment to that home opener that's already full of sort of festivities.
What do you think this is going to be like? Chris Middleton coming back to a place he called home, a team he called home, playing against his former teammates. What do you think that's going to be like? I mean, he was one of the big guys around town when playing with Giannis. Like, this is huge.
Oh, it's massive, and I think our fans still love Chris. He is such a part of who we've become and what our Bucks DNA is, and so I think for us to be able to give him a great welcome back, I'm in some ways very happy. It's on the 22nd in our home opener where there's already sort of this emotion around it, and I think it'll be a really, really great moment. He's one of the all-time Bucks legends, and for us to be able to give a great tribute to him is going to be really important to getting his season going in the right direction as well.
Dustin, okay, so you kind of segued into my next question. I want to talk about the video. Coach Doc Rivers said he saw to it that video was going to be created in Chris's honor. Can you give us a little bit of a tease as to what we can expect from that video?
Yeah, I think, it's one of those things we've been kind of going back and forth, and everybody has what about this moment? What about that? And you build and go through. There's been so many moments through there. And I think what you'll see tonight is just a real representation from, kind of the beginning of when Chris came to Milwaukee through all those championship moments and All-Stars and Olympics and all the things that came with that. I think, we want to save some things for later down the road when hopefully 22 goes up in the rafters and he's done playing. But for now, I think it's just a great encapsulation of his career here in Milwaukee and what he's meant to the organization, and we're excited to have it out there. And the real thing is that the video's great, and we want to make sure that he has that moment. But I think the important piece and the big piece is really to give the fans an opportunity to show him what he meant to them.
Let me ask you, what do you think that says about Coach Rivers, the Bucks organization, his former teammates, the fact that you all are wanting to make sure he's represented, even though they're going to be on opposing teams? But what do you think that says about the organization in and of itself, about how you guys have been very adamant and intentional about celebrating this guy, even though he no longer plays here?
Yeah, I think, it speaks volumes about, John Horst and Doc Rivers and kind of the culture that they've tried to build on the basketball side, and really even, as you talk about just the idea of the business side and the basketball side working together to make sure that this is special. It is, what we try to build and what we try to, convey to the league and players as it goes through of, this is, once you kind of come into the Bucks family, you're a part of it. And, with Chris, again, all the records he has and being, one of those top 3, 4, 5, all-time greatest players in franchise history. Like it obviously gets amplified, but I think, as we see other guys who are part of that championship team and that sort of thing come through this season for the first time, a Pat Connaughton, a Brooke Lopez, you're going to continue to see that. And I think, again, speaks volumes to sort of that Bucks family atmosphere that we try to build.
Take me inside the Bucks organization a little bit. What is it like for you guys? This is a home opener. It's a big day not only for the players, but for also everybody who's represented in the Bucks organization. Is there a little anxiety, happiness, joy? Anybody scared? Like all the above? What's it like for you guys?
I think, opening day is great because it's, there's always the optimism and I think for us, we're all enthusiastic about, the moves that were made this summer. We have a very healthy team. Giannis obviously back, and you pair him with a guy like Miles Turner. I think, a few front court duos that can match up with that sort of talent. So we're excited from that standpoint. So there's a little bit of anxiety, before everybody comes in. It's been so much planning. I think once you get into the season, you're going in between games so quickly, you don't really have time to think about it, but you've got a lot of time to think about the opener. So certainly some nerves and some anxiety there, but I think everybody's just looking forward to it, and it'll be a nice, be able to take a little bit of a breath after the game tonight, and then, back home next Tuesday against the Knicks.
Hey, if you're nervous, it means you want to do well, right? That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Speaking of Miles Turner, it's been interesting to watch him kind of embrace, Wisconsin traditions, the Milwaukee way of life. I know he's been to Lambeau. He's been apple picking. How has it been for you all to kind of watch him embrace the beautiful city we call home as well?
It's amazing, and I think that's one of those things that we didn't have to go to Miles and say, oh, you should try this out, or this would look good if you did this. He has jumped right in, and I think for fans in Milwaukee, like that's what they want to see. They want to know that people want to be here and that they're embracing the culture and trying to learn about them as much as we're trying to learn about Miles and see what he can do on the court. And I think we from the sort of first meeting after that deal happened, that from a marketing side, that we talked to his agents and representatives, it was, hey, like, what does Miles like to do? What should we not ask him to do? And they're like, look, Miles is going to do everything, and you're not even going to have to ask him. And that's really been true to form. I mean, he has immediately just kind of tried to jump in and understand what makes Milwaukee great. And I think he's already, kind of fallen in love with the city a bit. And I look forward to him now having an arena full of fans showing him how much they love him back.
No kidding. The fan base. Talk about the fan base, the Bucks fan base, ride or die kind of people. Super excited. We've heard from some of them this morning on our broadcast. What are you looking forward to in terms of seeing all the fans decked out in new merchandise, old merchandise, the OG merchandise? What are you looking forward to the most with regard to the fan base?
Yeah, I just think, it's fun when you can get back out, and I think having everybody back together, I always say, Bucks games tend to be just a great representation of who Milwaukee is and what Milwaukee is. And I think for us to be able to get back to that and feed off the energy of what that is, that's, for those of us on the business side, that's what this is all about. And that's what makes us tick. We can come up with all the great ideas and put all the ideas in place, but it's when people actually come through the doors and you open the doors on opening night, that's a special moment.
No kidding, brother. Was there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't ask you, or in terms of what we can expect from the home opener tonight? Any really interesting tidbits that haven't been shared already?
No, I think, as you look at the home opener, I think anybody planning to come down, and there are still, a few tickets left. So if still making that decision, we do expect it'll be a full house as we usually have here at Fiserv Forum, but there are still a few tickets left for people still trying to make that decision. But anybody coming down, you want to be in your seats right at 7:00 so that you can see the intros. It's always, a nice spectacle and really a good celebration of the season starting from player introductions to national anthem. It'll be a fun show right from right before tip.
Excellent, brother. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here. Is this your first time on the live desk?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Well, welcome, man, and obviously welcome back. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in the future.
Sounds good.
So I'll say that
Thanks,
prematurely.
Adam.
Anytime, brother. Take care. All righty. All right, folks, there you have it. You heard it. Hear first right here about the Bucks Open home opener here at Pfizer Forum here at 7 o'clock tip-off. It's going to be an exciting, exciting night. Again, not only for us here at the station, but for so many of you who have been Bucks fans for years and decades. We are thrilled to see Giannis, Chris Middleton, and we are so excited with the way that the Bucks organization continue to honor truly one of their own. So that is super special. That is a video that will be produced and well documented for years to come, but that will also air tonight during the home opener. So you can see that if you get some tickets and head to Pfizer Forum tonight, tip off at 7 p.m. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick short break, but stay with us. We'll be right back with more on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long here, joining you here at 12:53. I want to take you to Capitol Hill right now here. There is right now a marathon speech happening here. We know that there has been a Senator, Jeff Merkley of Oregon, has rallied against the president in a marathon that started Tuesday overnight and is continuing now on into this morning. Let's take a listen in to hear what some of the lawmakers, in addition to Jeff Merkley, are saying right now. Give me a second. I'll pull up the audio for you as we watch this happen in real time.
Coast Guard is what we are currently seeing in the Caribbean with regards to drug trafficking, which is a problem and presents a clear and present danger to the citizens of this country. And it's something we need to do more about. I was on one of the cable shows last night talking about this specific issue. So to date, there's been about 6 or 7 strikes in the Caribbean that have killed 32 people. And, you know, some of those were trafficking drugs. Those routes, by the way, Senator Merkley, are used generally to traffic cocaine and marijuana through the Caribbean to Caribbean islands and onto Europe. They are not the routes that traffic fentanyl to the United States. And over the last 6 weeks or so, we have conducted kinetic strikes against these boats without what I recognize as the legal authority to do so. It's not something I've seen in my experience in the United States Navy. I spent 25 years in the U.S. Navy that I've seen during my career. I'm now retired. But during my career, I never saw a president command the Department of Defense to do things that I felt were outside the boundaries of what we would consider legal action against, illegal action against people. We have traditionally done this with the United States Coast Guard, sometimes in conjunction with the United States Navy, where in a partnership, they do what we would call law enforcement. And members of the Coast Guard come aboard Navy ships. We interdict drugs that are coming through the Caribbean, or more often on the Pacific side, on the western side of Mexico, up into California. And we interdict those drugs, and then we prosecute those individuals. And in my view, I think the administration has not made a case to the U.S. Congress and to the American people as to why this is a legal action. A couple of weeks ago, when we were being briefed on this, I felt that they were pretty much tying themselves into a knot in trying to inform us on why this is allowed under the law. Now, here's one of the things I really worry about. I worry about these young sailors or naval aviators or drone operators that are the trigger pullers, the guys who are dropping the small diameter bombs from airplanes, could be a F-18 or an F-35 or some other weapon system, or folks that are operating an MQ-9 drone. If you're the guy that is pulling the trigger in a combat operation, you typically expect that the people above you have done all the due diligence necessary to make sure that you are not going to be in some kind of legal jeopardy. And I really worry about that today. There might be some young Navy lieutenant out there, or Marine Corps captain, or Air Force, for all I know, MQ-9 operator, that might someday find out that they have done something that is not consistent with the law and are now in legal jeopardy. And that's a big problem. I never saw that during my 25 years in the United States Navy. The 2 ships I sunk in the Persian Gulf, not for 1 second did I feel like I was getting some bad information from the battle group or from anybody.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Donovan Long here from the Wisconsin Live Desk. You're listening to the Senate hold a marathon session about the government shutdown, which is now well into its 3rd week. We'll get back to that and follow this as this marathon session progresses. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick short break and go back to some other news of the day that we're following here locally in Milwaukee. When we get back with our Christina Benzels, this and more when we return on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk here at 101 on your Wednesday afternoon. Hey, we got to talk about this. We're in the midst of spooky season, right? We know a lot of you all are planning your Halloween costumes, planning your Halloween parties, where you're going to take the kiddos. And in the midst of all of that, we've just learned that the city of Milwaukee is changing its trick-or-treat times, and that's causing a lot of responses, as you can probably imagine. Our Christina Venzels is following this story for us from some neighborhoods in the city. Christina, tell us a little bit more about this change. What motivated this? What was kind of the mitigating factor here?
Yeah, I wish I had that answer for you right now. So we were over at City Hall talking with one of the aldermen over there about this change, and Alderman Westmoreland said that this was not something the Common Council decided. It came from the mayor's office last week. So to catch people up to speed on the city of Milwaukee's trick-or-treating history, that alderman said for the last 30 plus years, trick-or-treating has always been on a Sunday in the afternoon from about 1 to 4. Well, now the mayor's office came out and said that instead this year trick-or-treating is going to be on Friday night on actual Halloween, and those trick-or-treating hours will be from 5:30 to 7:30. So that alderman was talking about how it's confusing for people who have had this long-standing tradition of their Sunday trick-or-treating in the city for decades. Now 2 weeks later, they're just getting a 2 weeks notice that it's changing. But there's definitely mixed opinions. Some people are excited to have trick-or-treating on actual Halloween night. Other people are worried for safety with it being darker outside, reckless driving, and just being out in neighborhoods when it's dark out. That alderman mentioned street lighting isn't always the best in certain areas of the city. So there's a lot of mixed opinions here, and we are trying to get reactions from neighborhoods in the area too, to see what people think.
So I'm curious, was this like a rogue decision? Like if the Common Council didn't have to vote on it, was this something that, I guess I'm trying to figure out who else would have had to kind of help the mayor make this decision, or was it kind of like a decision he made upon himself? I'm not sure how to read this.
Yeah, and we reached out to the mayor's office to ask that question. They didn't have anybody available for an interview today, but we'll try to get an answer. I don't know if it was people reaching out saying that this is what they prefer, or who necessarily came up with this decision. But there are other cities and areas around Milwaukee that do already do their trick-or-treating at night. So it's not new to the area, but for the city itself, yeah, this has been a change in that long-standing tradition of Sunday trick-or-treating. So definitely check wherever you live, your city or village, wherever it may be, those hours, just in case it's different this year.
Now, the alderman you spoke with, did he seem kind of frustrated over the fact that he didn't know where this change was coming from? All that he knew there was a change now.
I would say frustration is a good way to put it, yes. He said that he got about 50 phone calls or emails from people who live in the district that he represents, just number one, asking about this, also maybe not in support of it. Just kind of that confusion is what he mentioned, and without them having any say in this decision, I think that's where that frustration came from, just with short notice. I saw some comments on social media talking about how families have their tradition where their kids will come up from out of town and do it on a Sunday. You also have parents who work on Friday, and then maybe they work a second shift, or just those hours aren't ideal for some parents on Friday nights. So yeah, frustration is a good way to put it. No
kidding, Christina. Yeah, this is interesting. I'd be interested just to know, again, of course, how some parents are probably feeling behind you in the neighborhood you're in at the moment. And then, yeah, hearing a response from the mayor. How did this happen? Why did this happen? What was the benefit? What is the downside? Other than what you've already mentioned in terms of a downside, about it being inconvenient for some people, late in the day for a lot of folks. So this is interesting.
And one thing too, just on that safety aspect of it all, I did reach out to Milwaukee Police to see their response to this change, and they sent out a list of tips for people to keep in mind. We'll make sure to include that in our reporting, but also that they will have extra patrols out on Halloween night, just making sure everybody is enjoying it safely. So they will have some extra people, it sounds like, scattered throughout the city, just monitoring that trick-or-treating 5:30 to 7 hours.
That is so reassuring. All right, Christina Venzel's reporting for us. I'll let you go so you can continue your work and news gather, but thank you so much as always. Really good to have you on.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
All righty, you got it. You got it. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but that is Christina Venzel. You can follow her reports later this evening on our broadcast starting at 4 o'clock, and you can also connect with her online through our Fox Local mobile app or at fox6now.com. All right, we'll be back with more Wild right after the break. See you then.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Not been long here. Your time is 1:10 now on your Wednesday afternoon. Want to take you to Capitol Hill, where House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries just finished speaking, it looks like, I believe. Let's listen into a few of the comments, I'm sure, and questions he's likely going to get from reporters. Let's take a listen here.
That you are safe and secure. Republicans have controlled Washington for 275 days, and we are 22 days into this shutdown. And through all the chaos, there has been one constant, one theme at the heart of their budget and their shutdown and their healthcare crisis. They seek out and target the most selfless and the least privileged Americans. They always go after those who have already had to sacrifice. Americans working a second job to keep their kids fed. Americans who have chosen to serve in uniform or as civil servants. Americans who are caring full time for their loved ones. It's working parents on Medicaid. It's sick children who need home care. It's veterans who rely on the Affordable Care Act. Those are the people that Republicans expect to get by with less. It's never the billionaires. It's never corporations. It's certainly never themselves. Because what does Donald Trump expect for himself? What do you see him talking about when you turn on the news? A luxury plane, a gold-plated office, a new ballroom, and now a literal monument to himself. All as 1 million children are about to be kicked off of Medicaid. Another million will see their family premiums double or even triple. And Republicans are complaining about the Peace Prize that Trump didn't get, about camera angles and escalators, acting like somehow they are the victims. While they victimize the
Hey, everybody, just wanted to update you. This is the House Minority Whip, Catherine Clark, speaking about the government shutdown and its impacts on everyday Americans. She's speaking as Democrats and Republicans can still not reach a deal to reopen the government. We know that the shutdown is in its third week. I believe the 22nd day is today. We just wanted to give you some background as to who you're listening to speaking before you right now on Capitol Hill.
and end this shutdown. And now it is my great pleasure to yield to our caucus chairman, Pete Aguilar.
Thank you, Whip Clark. Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Before I talked about the shutdown in healthcare, I did want to touch on the terrifying threat that Leader Jeffries by someone convicted from January 6th. As a member of the January 6th committee, we deposed, we interviewed a number of individuals who were summoned here to the Capitol that day. And to see Donald Trump pardon 1,500 individuals, what did you think was going to happen? These are individuals who had violent criminality in their past, and we have seen that carry forward now. And this is what happens when you release violent felons. By the way, some of them in their past had issues as child molesters and crimes against children, and we're putting these people back across the country. Following the recent horrific acts of political violence on people of both parties, we should do everything in our power to lower the temperature and keep our communities safe. And that's why I was disturbed by Whip Emmer's comments, in particular when talking about individuals who went to rallies, essentially calling American supporters of the Democratic Party supporters of terrorism. That rhetoric at the highest levels in this building and across our government isn't just untrue, it's dangerous and poses a threat to our political leaders, and that needs to stop. On the shutdown, for more than a month, Republicans have been on vacation while hardworking families are left to ask, what's next for me? What's next for my family? How will we afford health care? How can we pay our bills? And it's unacceptable that Speaker Johnson has had us in session since they passed the One Big Ugly Law. 20 days, I think, since then. Over 100 days have lapsed in the calendar, and we have been in session about 20. This is shocking. Then it's unacceptable that, and the American people see this. They can't show up for work 20 days over 3.5 months and expect to get paid. They're using this time to hide from their responsibilities. To carry, and they have chosen to carry forward unpopular health care policies. Even when Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Kevin Kiley, Beth Van Dyne have all said that Republicans should be in D.C. working. And even Leader Thune says it's time for House Republicans to consider coming back into session. The American people are smart. They know who will make their lives better. They know who is looking out for their costs and who wants to lower the costs that they face. And they know Republicans who control the White House, the House, and the Senate have the power to undo the damage that they've caused with this healthcare crisis. Democrats aren't giving up. If anything, we're more motivated and focused on our work ahead to protect Americans' healthcare. It's time for Speaker Johnson and House Republicans to join Democrats in finding a solution to reopen government and address this healthcare crisis that they've created. The American people are waiting. Peter Jeffries.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Catherine. Questions?
Has Speaker Johnson reached out to you at all since the January 6er made a threat in your life?
No. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. At this point, do you think a new CR is needed past that November 21st date? And if so, what would be an acceptable end date? And would it have to be paired with some type of vote on an ACA extension?
What we need to occur right now is what Democrats have maintained from the very beginning. At this point, we need to reopen the government. We need to enact a spending bill that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being, particularly in terms of driving down the high cost of living, while at the same time decisively addressing the Republican healthcare crisis that grows graver by the day. Our position over the last several weeks has remained consistent. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save healthcare, address the urgency of the expiration of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. This is not a partisan issue. And that's why we've seen Democrats and now many Republicans, traditional conservatives and right-wing conservatives like Marjorie Taylor Greene, all acknowledge what Democrats have been saying for weeks, which is that the Congress needs to act to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits to prevent tens of millions of Americans from experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. Those increases will devastate the American people. It's unacceptable. And House Republicans need to cancel their vacations, get back into town so we can do the business of the American people. Thanks. Back.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Do you have a response to Trump refusing to meet with you and Leader Schumer until the shutdown's over?
Donald Trump has spent more time on the golf course than he has in talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill to reopen the government, to enact a spending agreement that's bipartisan, and to address the Republican health care crisis. His behavior, unpresidential, unhinged.
Excuse me. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long here. You're listening to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries speak amid the government shutdown. You also just heard from another dignitary here, the House Minority Whip, and who's by the name is Catherine Clark. You also just heard from the Caucus Commission Chairman, Pete Aguilar, before those two started, or after those two started speaking. And so they are again talking about ways to try to reopen the government and its impact it's having on American families out there and federal workers. We're going to get a final check at the forecast for the afternoon with Stephanie Barrichello on the other side of the break, but stay with us because we will be back with more Wisconsin Live Desk right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Donovan Long here, joining you here on your Wednesday afternoon at 1:22. Okay, we know all eyes are going to be on Pfizer Forum tonight at 7 p.m. when the Bucks open up at home against the Washington Wizards. You're probably like, what is the forecast? How do I need to dress? How do I need to dress? Well, you know, that's where my good friend Stephanie Barkello comes in. Hey, Steph. Uh-oh, you know what? I'm giving you this introduction, but I can't even hear you because I haven't turned up your microphone. There we go.
That's minor details. It doesn't matter at all.
I think I've got you now.
But yes, to your point, what to wear tonight to Pfizer Forum? Definitely a jacket. What we have out there right now is what we're going to have later on this evening. The cloud cover, the chilly temperatures in the 40s, and even by that time, likely, you know, maybe 43, 44 degrees by then. So a chilly night to definitely grab that jacket just for the walk in and out. If you are planning on hanging out, you know, in the district, in the area, absolutely. Grab those layers as well as the thick coat. We've got a few sprinkles rolling through right now. Nothing major. I'm not really concerned about rain today. It's not going to be as steady as yesterday. In fact, it's going to be even lighter than yesterday, but still going forward through the evening, we will have the chance for some sprinkles. The end is near though. Look at this system finally working its way towards the east. You can still see some cloud cover across Minnesota, but we are on the far western edge of this storm system, so we are just about done. As soon as tomorrow, we should see at least a little bit of sunshine returning, and we will eventually get a break from this wind. That's what we've really been dealing with on and off the last couple of days, right? Wind gusts still up and down the lakeshore near or just over 30 miles per hour, so staying very blustery throughout the remainder of your Wednesday. Tomorrow's not going to be as bad wind-wise, but we still could have some gusts potentially up to about 20 miles per hour. And you can see that here locally. Notice how it gets a whole lot better out west as soon as later on tonight. But even heading into Thursday, maybe 15, 20 mile per hour gusts going to be a possibility. Friday, the wind is looking light, so something to look forward to. But the wind, of course, is thanks to the system that's in the vicinity. Let's quickly talk temperatures. So we're in the 40s, West Bend to Kenosha, both spots around 50. There is a chance we briefly hang out around 50 today, but most of us, you'll see, will continue to steadily fall through the 40s. So yes, by the time the game time, or a game rolls around, I should say, maybe low to mid 40s in Milwaukee, and then we'll drop into the 30s by tomorrow morning. So we are talking the possibility of some patchy frost tomorrow as well, or I should say tonight as well. And look at how this is impacting the entire state too. Maybe you're up north right now and you're heading down to Milwaukee for the home opener tonight. Temperatures are even cooler for places like Rhinelander and Wausau today. So who knows, maybe it'll feel a little balmy down here in southern Wisconsin. Now let's focus on low temperatures. Later on tonight, we are going to drop likely into the middle and upper 30s here locally, a little bit cooler towards the north and towards the west. We are not under any frost advisories here in southeast Wisconsin, but you can see them from La Crosse to Madison, south and west. These are the spots where temperatures will be just a little bit cooler, maybe low to mid 30s. They may end up having a little bit more clearing than those of us here in southeast Wisconsin, so just a slightly better chance to see that frost development out west. But we here in southeast Wisconsin will see that tomorrow night, so something we'll really have to keep an eye on. You can see many spots around our area under those frost advisories, and look at the freeze warnings towards the southeast of us. We're talking Indianapolis, Cincinnati under some freeze watches at the moment. So even colder conditions expected through the night tonight and into tomorrow. Now I'll leave you with this. So on average, those of us here in southern Wisconsin, our first freeze, remember we're more so looking at frost tonight as well as tomorrow night, but inland areas could see some freeze. It actually usually is around this time, maybe a little later in Milwaukee specifically, Donovan, but some of this cooler air that's rolling in, I know we don't want it just yet, but it is very normal for this time of year.
That is fair. Let me tell you something. I like it. Despite being from the South where it's hot all the time, it seems, I'm loving the fall weather. It's football weather.
Yes.
It's sweater weather, as you can attest to.
Fall fashion is fabulous, in my opinion. So it's
there
just
it is.
An opportunity to break the turtlenecks out.
Come on. There it is, Steph, as always. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Always good seeing you. Alrighty, folks, we're going to head now to Capitol Hill here. There is a Senate marathon session happening right now as we speak. You're taking a live look in. as different lawmakers take the floor and continue their speech amid an ongoing government shutdown, which has now reached its 22nd day, the third week. Democrats and Republicans at a stalemate still cannot come to an agreement to reopen the government. We know so many federal workers and families are in limbo because of this. We'll let you take a live look in here. In the meantime, Mary Stoker-Smith will join you on the other side of the break at 1:30 as the Wisconsin Live Desk continues. Thank you so much for joining us. And if it's your first time, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back. Mary, we'll see you on the other side.
Presidential jet to rehab a jet that was given to the president so that he could actually send it on to his personal library after he leaves office. But it is profoundly disturbing, and I appreciate the way you framed it. There's enough money for luxury glitz, for a mega ballroom. I can't even imagine how anything could cost that much to build. I mean, it's going to have an 1/8 inch of gold on every surface or something. I don't know. But that doesn't serve the American people. That doesn't make one single person in America have better health care or better education or a decent home in a decent community or a better job. Doesn't give equality of opportunity. Doesn't tackle any of our environmental issues. It is simply a gross display by a president who has constructed his entire administration on the basis of a theory to govern, which is families lose and billionaires win. Families lose their health care, so there can be massive tax breaks for billionaires. They lose their Medicaid on top of their ACA health care in order to fund massive tax breaks for billionaires. They lose their nutrition assistance to fund tax breaks for billionaires. And then over the next 30 years, their bill runs up $30 trillion in additional debt to fund these breaks for billionaires. Maybe I should say trillionaires now. And you think about how that debt, that additional $30 trillion in debt, how much that will compromise the ability to have future programs of health care and housing and education. I mean, the folks in my state are looking at the same thing as the folks of your state. We had last Wednesday the information come out a week ago so people could look on the exchange and see what their policies were going to cost. And we don't have a new comprehensive analysis. The pre-analysis, the projection, was that the average cost would go up not 5% or 10% or 15%, but about 68%. And that's because the premium goes up, the tax credits come down, and you're massively more expensive. Now, maybe a lot more because the average across the country is that premiums payments will go up 114%, more than double. But how do you explain to anyone that you slashed their health care affordability to fund a giveaway of $20 to $40 billion to Argentina, or to fund that new ballroom? I mean, that's insane. I mean, that is, well, just like the rich rubbing our nose in it for ordinary Americans, that you won't be able to afford health care, but wow, we got that new jet, the jet you talked about for Nome. I hadn't heard about that one. We got the new ballroom. We got the tax breaks for the richest people. This government buying for the billionaires, and it ties in to the authoritarian perspective. Because if you're a regular leader of a democracy, you feel you're accountable to the people, and you would never, ever pursue a bill that defunds health care for ordinary families to put more dollars in the pocket of the already richest Americans. But if you're an authoritarian, and the entire time I've been on the floor has been to ring the alarm bells. Ring the alarm bells. Authoritarianism is here now. And I'm told that each time I say this, lots of bells are posted online. So just for my team's fun, ring the alarm bells. I want that to be heard all across America, that we are way off track. This is the wrong way to go. In a democracy, you want to have the foundations for families to thrive because you're accountable to the people, and the people run the operation. But in an authoritarian government, boy, that's not the case at all. Instead, it's like the leaders feel like the people are accountable to them. So if they have to do without, well, too bad. As the phrase goes, let them eat cake. If they don't have bread, oh, let them eat cake. And so there we are. And our responsibility is to say to the American people, the way to stop this authoritarian takeover is to have a very significant, robust demonstrations across America like we had on Saturday, that the citizens have to make a big deal, protest outside our offices, write to us, phone us, give us a hard time, tell us we should be doing more. It's that feedback that really caused me to say I need to try to do more to ring the alarm bells about where we're headed, and thus to be up here all night and now through the morning and into the afternoon. I'm getting a little unsteady on my feet, but if we collectively, through this dialogue, are bringing attention to people and saying, yes, 7 million people were out there in the streets. Next time we need 10 million. Or do your local demonstration with those who went, hear about what they did, and spread the word that this is not normal. This destruction of our rights, this weaponization of the judiciary to go after political enemies, the effort to open the doors so that the president can deploy with court's approval the military into our cities when there is no rebellion, no insurrection, and no invasion. So that is our responsibility, to call it out and to carry the fight. And I believe the American people are starting to understand just how much their freedoms are being crushed. And that's what we need to be in partnership with, to steer this country back and save our republic.
Will the senator from Oregon yield for a question?
I see the senator from Washington State is on the floor, and I would very happy to yield to a question.
I thank the senator from Oregon, and first let me just commend you for what you are doing here throughout the night, throughout today, calling attention to a really critical issue in this country. So many people come up to me, and you know, because we go back and forth to the West Coast all the time, how many people walk up to us and say, what can I do about this? And each one of us has to say, here's what I can do. And I want to thank you for doing what you are doing today, because you're going above and beyond to point out to people that, as your chart says, authoritarianism is here, and it is here now. And we can ignore it, or we can speak out, and you have spent all night long and all day standing on your feet at, I'm sure, great personal sacrifice to fight for everyone in this country and to sound the alarm, as you've been talking about. And so I just personally want to thank you, and I want to reiterate something that you have said for all of these hours, and actually many times to me over the past few months, that the fact that Trump is using his place in government to control every aspect of our life, whether it's what our schools are teaching or not teaching. It's whether or not he's prosecuting his enemies, which he is doing. It's cutting off projects and funding to punish the political opposition. And as you and I both know, we represent, quote, blue states, but we have a lot of red counties and cities and neighborhoods, and even within all of our blue districts. And you can't just randomly say I'm hurting blue without hurting red, because these are all Americans. But he is using his power to do that. We are seeing him, as you know well, in your home state, deploying troops to intimidate Democrats. And I listened to you late last night talk about what is happening in Portland, and the misuse of this kind of power should be frightening to every single American. And we need to stand up and we need to call it out, which is what you are doing today. And even dictating what late night TV host is doing is part of this whole picture that you've been describing. But I came to the floor today as your partner on the Appropriations Committee. We serve on that together. And we all know in this body how important that committee is, because we decide where the funding is going to go in the country. Now, I've been out on this floor, I've been at home, I've been everywhere talking about the power of the purse, which sounds kind of like this quaint little phrase. But it is really important. For anybody who has a family, you know that the person who writes the checks in the checkbook decides where the money's going to go. Well, that power of that checkbook, that power of the purse, as it is called, lands in this side of the aisle, on this side of the White House and Congress. We have the power of the purse. Why is that? Because we represent our constituents from across the country. I'm from Washington State, you from Oregon, people from Illinois and Alabama and Florida all come here to be a voice for their constituents on where their taxpayers are going to go. And within this country, the power of the purse means we have the ability to decide where the money is going to go, because we represent our constituents. That's what they call on us to do. And I am seeing Trump do an all-out assault on Congress's power of the purse. So I wanted to come here today and ask you your thoughts on how this president is undermining the power of the purse and how it plays into your ringing the bells about authoritarianism.
Ringing the alarm bells for the authoritarian takeover. And the power of the purse is one of those fundamental ways that, in fact, the president is concentrating his power. The difference between a democracy, in a democracy, the legislature says, here are the programs, here's how we want to run them, and here's how we're going to fund them. And it brings together the collective wisdom of a large group that comes from every portion of the nation, like we do here, our 100 senators from 50 states. And we not only bring our geographic differences, we bring our life differences and our life skills, and all of that helps us form a pretty complex set of decisions about the programs that need more support because of the challenges we're facing as a nation at that moment, and those that can do with less support. And that's our responsibility, but all those voices together are just so central to that. In an authoritarian nation, all of that responsibility, design the program, fund the program, choose whether the program will live or die, is all transferred to the executive. So if we're thinking authoritarians over here, power of the purse with the executive, democracy over here, power of the purse with the legislature. So Russell Vought, the current head of OMB, he's a well-trained, clever man, and he's saying, well, let's see how we can actually take the power of the purse. You passed a bill for fiscal year 25, and now we're not longer in fiscal, but let's say we were. Well, maybe I can just slow walk the funds for the programs I don't want to fund. That way the decision is transferred to the executive. Maybe I can freeze them. Maybe I can impound them, basically permanently take them off the table. See if I can get away with that. Maybe I can send over a request to have Congress formally undo the programs that they have funded. And they did send one of those over, and it was voted. It needed a majority vote in both chambers. But the problem with that is you have a bipartisan vision to serve the entire, these desks to me are now representing the geography of the United States, to serve the entire breadth and depth of our nation with all of our differences. And then on a partisan basis, meaning half the room, they decide what programs to cut. And that means a deal was done in the beginning between Democrats and Republicans, and then it was undone. And the programs that were cut were the programs, by and large, that Democrats had advocated for. How do you do the next deal in that situation?
Hey everybody, Mary Stoker-Smith joining you now. Good to see you on this windy Wednesday. Yeah, there's a fall nip in the air, isn't there? We can certainly feel it after the balmy, let's say almost downright balmy temps that we've had over the last several days here in southeastern Wisconsin. Those sunny skies, we want them back. But for a lot of you who have been looking forward to fall and sweater weather, I know I just dug mine out for the first time this season. All the heavy sweaters and the boots or whatever. Yeah, it is here. Well, you know what's also here, of course. We are in the spookiest time of the year, Halloween. Can you believe it? It is almost a week away, a week from this Friday, and so we are getting you ready as we bring things back here local for our Fox Local coverage. We're going to bring you back to some festivities going on that'll kind of get you in the mood, give you something to do that weekend. I know the trick-or-treating is early. Usually the trick-or-treating doesn't happen on the day for a lot of you watching and for a lot of your kids and families. So if you're looking at trick-or-treating, maybe it's this weekend, and you still want to do something Halloween related, get into the season, have a little scare with a little bit of, shall we say, dazzle, a little bit of illumination, a little bit of light, we have just the thing for you. Coming up in just a week, this is what you can take advantage of. That's right. It is the China Lights Lantern Festival. It's actually going on right now, but it is the final weekend next Friday, the 31st, and it's going to go until Sunday the 2nd. So all guests are invited to celebrate Halloween and come in your best costume. Show us what you got. You are talking anything from the ghouls to the ghosts to the goblins, or I don't know, maybe even your favorite little entertainer. Who knows what you can come up with, but you certainly have time. And again, this is going to be at the Berner Botanical Gardens. It's the China Lights Lantern Festival. One of those things that's on my bucket list. We have heard about this, of course, for years. They throw this celebration, the China Lights Festival, every year, and I've heard it is a magical scene full of a dazzling display of lights. The kids are enchanted, and it's a nice, fun, family, safe event to go to. And so now what they're doing is getting in on the festivities of the season. So again, this is going to be next Friday, October 31st through Sunday the 2nd. Come in your Halloween costume. We have all the information on Fox Local and our website, fox6now.com. But we wanted to kind of look ahead because it's certainly starting to feel a lot like fall out there. It's here, of course, technically, and now the feels like weather. A lot of you, of course, hoping, boy, the warm temps maybe stick around, but I know a lot of people like the crispness. What we may not like are the gloomy skies. So we're going to take a look at our forecast, if you will, over the next couple days to see when those temps may be rebounding a little bit, or at least the wind's dying down, but more importantly, are we going to get any sun? We're going to have to check in with our weather experts for that. But that's a fun event to put on your calendar this weekend. What are you going to dress up as? What do you want to do this year? I haven't even started. It came like that quick, right? Send me a message on Facebook. If you go to the Facebook page, of course, you can find me on there and send me a message on my fan page. I'd like to see what you're dressing up as. And also if you have a picture of maybe something that's inspiring you, maybe something from last year, whatever it is, let your imagination soar, because for a lot of people, this is their favorite holiday. They love it. And we've also been doing stories that people are going to be spending record amounts on Halloween this year between the parties and the costumes and, of course, all of those fun-sized candy bars that you get. People go all out. It's fun to look at that. Maybe we'll try to get some numbers here too and bring those back to you after a break. But we are going to take a quick break and bring it right back here to Fox Local because we have another local event to celebrate the season coming up. We'll tell you about that when we come back after this quick break.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, everybody. So good to see you. Yeah, we are back to basketball, baby. Giannis Antetokounmpo right there, showing off some new kicks, showing off some new moves. Oh, yeah. Giannis is back in a big way. Look at his new shoes. You like those? Those are pretty snazzy. Question is it going to give him the hops that he needs to take us all the way, as he did before, to the championship trophy and that postseason party that we all loved? Those are really cool. I really like those. Again, Giannis Antetokounmpo, always having some fun. I say this all the time. If you don't like Giannis, I can't help you. He is the glue, of course, the MVP of the team, but he's the glue that holds everything together. Obviously, he's such a dynamic player, if you've ever seen him on the court, but he is such a likable guy, a wonderful father and husband from what we have seen, and he has embraced Milwaukee and made the Cream City his community and his home, and we love him for it. Never met Giannis, but you feel like you know him, don't you? And it looks like he is ready and stoked for a new season. You know, his brothers are on the team, and yeah, he's ready to go. It's just fun. I love his playful spirit and I love his playful attitude. And you know, he wants to win. I mean, that's his whole mantra. I want to win. I want to do what I want to do to make anything happen. I mean, he's everything. He's got that great jersey. He's got those great shoes. Now, I don't know if the shoes are available, but we did see that the Bucks unveiled a lot of swag at the Pro Shop, a lot of neat, different jerseys. Some of the new players, of course, are being honored. You could always pick up a Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey. A lot of fans want that. There is also a make your own. I don't know if it's a hoodie or a jersey or just a shirt, doesn't matter. But they have a program now, a thing, where you can go in there to the Pro Shop and design your own Bucks swag. So I said jokingly, can this be sequins and rhinestones? And the answer is yes. It can be whatever you want. I know I'm in. I'm thinking I should do a story down there and take probably a glue gun. Is it bring your own gun, bring your own glue gun, and do a little something, do a little cut and paste, maybe a little graffiti. But wouldn't it be fun to make your own establishment, your own accoutrements for the game? They had a sequined black, it almost looked like a little bomber jacket down there last season, and I asked Ted to pick it up for me, but with the price tag being, I think it was like $75, he said, I'll let you come down and pick up one on your own. I forgot your size. How convenient. That's something to look forward to. You know what also you can look forward to while you put that swag on display and you strut into Pfizer Forum? The food. It's all about the food. You may want to wear a bib for these. Check out the new menu items. Are you ready for this? We're going to work our way up because I have something to say about the first item. But let's start with the Mecca Burger Bar Loaded Fries. This looks like a bib-worthy item. That's all I'll say. It looked messy, but it looks great. And so you can go, I mean, where else can you get these, right? It's a treat. So if you're a fry person, get ready to be overwhelmed by the loaded fries there. They look delicious. Not sure what's all in those, but you can imagine probably something with, you know, meat and cheese, and if you want, ketchup and mayonnaise and mustard and everything. Follow that up or put it by the side of a Johnsonville jumbo brat. You know, let's be honest, the brats can be a little tiny. So if you want to make a meal out of it and you want a brat, this is your opportunity. Grab a Johnsonville as you sit down and enjoy the game. Nathan's famous hot dogs. You can't have a game without having a hot dog, and that's always a fan favorite for the kids. So you can just grab one of the best hot dogs out there, one from Nathan's. Flower Child Pizza. Now, if you haven't had Flower Child, you are really in for a treat, as you know. And for people who just like their traditional za, which is usually my go-to because I don't eat meat. Admittedly, I eat chicken and fish, but I don't eat red meat, so a lot of times just their cheese pizza is outstanding. This is really what I'm interested in. This is why I saved the best for last. The King's Hawaiian Pretzel Bites. Now, the other night on TV, we said, yeah, they're going to have Hawaiian pretzel bites, and one of our producers got in our earpiece and said, oh, no, not just any pretzel bites. It's the King's Hawaiian Pretzel Bites. If you've ever had those King's Hawaiian buns, those were sliders or whatever, it's all about the bun. It's all about the base. It's all about the bun. That should be delicious. I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm assuming that they have a dipping sauce with that. Let your imagination run wild. And you know what I'm going to do while we do that? I'm going to take a sip of my coffee here in my, are you ready for this? I got to see how we can get one of these for you. But in my Fox Local mug. My mouth is literally watering, so I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. I just started the pumpkin coffees, right? We need that because, again, my mouth is watering. Speaking of good things going down there for the Bucks, Chris Middleton. We all loved Chris Middleton, and it was fantastic. He is going to return, and they're honoring him in a big way. And so, you know, Delaney's got something for us, but before I forget, let's go to Delaney, shall we? Hi, Delaney.
Hey, Mary.
Delaney's our producer, and we put a camera and a mic and a light on Delaney so we can all say hi to Delaney, not only every show, but often in the show. Are you ready? Are you ready? I just want to make sure you don't have spinach in your teeth.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Well, I do the producer. Can we just do the producer full there? I don't even want you to box. I just want to see your glorious face. Hey, by the way, I'm so off script here. I hope I don't get a memo. You can't really tell, but Delaney's got the longest eyelashes on the planet. And if she weren't such a lovely human being, I'd be mad at her. But you have the best eyelashes, and
Thank
she's
you.
so much fun to work with. Delaney is the brains behind the brawn here, behind the operation. She pulls up all of our technical things and gets us ready for the day, tells us what's on the docket, and she's always effervescent, smiling, and energetic. So we really appreciate it. Thank you, Delaney. Before we go to this Chris Middleton news, you're a Bucks fan, right?
I am, yeah.
And of that list that we just showed about the foods, what would be your first pick if you had to Fiserv?
I think the King's Hawaiian pretzel bites.
That's
Those
what I'm
sound so
thinking.
good.
Don't those sound delicious? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking there's a sauce. Not that you need the sauce, but
No, but there's definitely a sauce that goes with them.
they'd have to, or at least a nice cool beverage to you know, wrap that up with. I would think.
Right?
I would think it would not be dry. It would be great. You know, and speaking of nothing dry, something that's always just swirling in our minds, the return players, people that we really love to see. And that's Chris Middleton coming back tonight. It's going to be a chance to see this new team, you know, with him. It's a bittersweet reunion. So I'm really looking forward to his return, making his return for this Bucs season opener happening. Do we have a graphic on Chris there, Delaney, or no? We can just look at Pfizer if not. Thought we may have had something on Chris there. But if you take a look here, because we want to get you in the mood for this. This is important as we pull up this look at Pfizer Forum here. My button is stuck. Sorry about that. You're looking at a very windy, shaky camera there looking at Pfizer Forum because the Bucs are going to open their season tonight right there. 7 o'clock against the Washington Wizards, and it's going to be, of course, a time to celebrate the Bucs, all they have done for this city, and all that could be this season. But as I said, it's kind of a bittersweet reunion tonight because the former Bucs forward, Chris Middleton, is going to make his return here. Cash Money, as you guys know, one of the all-time greatest Bucs. He was just fun to watch, fun to see on the court. Middleton making his magic there. Of course, there's going to be a tribute to him. Giannis says he's really looking forward to seeing it, according to reports. And there's going to be a video tribute to acknowledge all that he meant to this team, all that he did, and you know, how much we miss him. So many players come and go. It's just the nature of the game. They may stay a season, they may say two, they may say 5, 6, 7. But anyway, we're going to go back to a scene from 2021 tonight where the Bucs are hoping to recreate that magic this season. But we're going to go ahead and have a tribute to him being on that championship team. A lot of you, I was down there like a lot of you, and it was something I will never forget to be down there when they won that championship game. And I remember that game, and we were on pins and needles, and it was so close. And at some point, I'm one of those, like Tennis said, I get very fidgety. I couldn't watch the screen. We were down there live, so it was difficult anyway. But I'm one of those, like, I can't look. And so I found out that the Bucs had won, and they won the championship by watching the crowd. We would turn around, and we would see the crowd gathered right there at Pfizer Forum. You may have been down there. And to see that electricity and to see the fans come alive, it was one of those times where everybody was down there for the same thing. Everybody was happy, and everybody brought the energy of our great city to Pfizer for the entire nation to see. It was very cool. It was really neat. So we're going to play tribute to that tonight, and then hopefully get some of that mojo going for another championship season. We hope so. It'll be a chilly night down there as you walk in there. We're going to bring in Stephanie Barrichello in just a bit to tell us what we need for tonight. If you are headed down to the season opener, of course, for parking and walking, a lot of you found creative ways to park so that you can either park for free or even park for less, but you're definitely going to need some type of a jacket down there as you head to Pfizer Forum because fall has arrived. So again, we do have the Bucs season opener tonight. You have the food. Tip off 7 o'clock tonight against the Washington Wizards, and it should be a great night to be down there. Just before we get to the weather, let's pull up the roads right now because the roads are clear now. Hopefully they stay that way. If you're able to duck out of work a little bit early to get down there, maybe grab a bite to eat, just take in the sights because maybe you haven't been down there all season, right? You haven't been down there since last season. So either way, it's going to be a fun night. We know one person is pumped, and that is Giannis, putting on his kicks, and he's ready to bring basketball back to Pfizer Forum for what will hopefully be another great season. Let's take a look at the conditions right now. Things are looking pretty good out there, as we have seen. It's just a matter of the wind. Can't really control that. But for right now, the satellite and radar looking good right now. Will the rain hold off? We'll have to see. We do know, though, the temperatures have taken a plunge. 50 degrees, not terrible in October, but coming off of what we have, it's an adjustment, right? And it's a very windy day. The wind feels even stronger than it was yesterday. I ducked in and out just coming to work, and I thought, oh, whoa, I brought a coat for later. It's fine now, but I think a little bit later we may need something. Let's take another look at the roadways right now. Traffic tracker showing no problems. If you are headed out for anything this evening, should be a smooth sail, should be a nice night. We're going to bring in weather expert Stephanie Barrichello to give us a look at the forecast because, again, it is that time of year where this weekend some of the kids are going to be trick-or-treating. You may want to go apple picking. You may want to head out to just do some leaf peeping because with that wind today, those leaves are not going to be around very much longer. There's been a few leaves left on a tree that I like to see, but some of the ones in my area, at least on the east side of Milwaukee, are in kind of full bloom. The problem is today we had so much cloud cover. It's hard to see all those beautiful, radiant, vibrant colors, the marigolds and the reds, and of course some of those vibrant yellows that we see. We'll have to see if we can get any of that. I have a feeling we may be able to do that this weekend, but whether you're headed to the pumpkin patch or leaf peeping or just down to Pfizer, it's going to be a good weekend to get out and about. We're going to get a check on the weather. We're going to go ahead and check back in at Pfizer Forum. We're going to tell you a little bit more about the event happening again next weekend at the Berner Botanical Gardens because I have a little bit more information to give you on that. And of course, we are talking all things Bucks as they get ready to tip off tonight and start what will be a great season. We're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. See you on the other side. Keep it right here on Fox Local. Glad to have you with us today.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Windy Wednesday is what I'm dubbing this. #wind. Yeah, it's all about the wind right now. Do you like surprises? I do. And I especially like surprises when the call letters are #TVV, because that's the surprise that I have for us right now. Tim Van Voren. Hi, my friend. How are you today?
It's the highlight of my day, Mary. Chance to talk with you about the Packers from up in Green Bay. You know, they're playing a guy this week named Aaron Rodgers, so that has a lot of people pretty intensified and interested in this week's game.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you right there. Exactly. It's all about, the Aaron Rodgers factor here. So thanks for giving us a preview. So yeah, they played the Steelers. This is the first time the Packers has met Aaron Rodgers since he's been an ex-Packer, correct?
Absolutely, and they are practicing right now behind the Don Hudson Center on the other field. They just got off the practice field, Mary, so fresh to join you. And Matt LaFleur answering a lot of questions today at his usual Wednesday press conference. Vast majority were about Aaron Rodgers and the relationship that LaFleur and Rodgers had here working together for the first few years of LaFleur's Packers coaching career. You're exactly right. This is the first time that Rodgers will go against the Packers. It's not like at Lambeau Field with Packer fans in the stands, but it's Aaron Rodgers against the Green Bay Packers. He played 18 seasons, Mary, in the green and gold. Of course, 2 seasons with the New York Jets, now in his first year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the hype machine will be going all week long for this matchup.
Oh, absolutely. I always wonder, as I'm sure a lot of fans do, Aaron obviously very familiar with the organization. And, I don't want to call it, the insider knowledge, but it's kind of like he's going to know the way things work perhaps a little bit better than other QBs who haven't been in Green Bay, I would assume. Do you switch things up? Do you just say, you know what, that's what we have to deal with? Or how do they counteract that, if you will?
It's a bigger game with the familiarity than it otherwise would be, Mary. It just is. Rodgers certainly is going to put a lot on this game. It's the only team he knew for the NFL for his first 18 seasons, for goodness sakes. And, of course, then he very publicly orchestrated his exit from Green Bay. From the Packers side of things, it's Jordan Love, who learned a lot from Rodgers. We look forward to hearing from Jordan Love, after practice today. But then going against his old mate. So much familiarity, which does play itself out on the field, as you suggest. This player knows the Packers, what they want to do. The Packers know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. But then you throw the emotion into it. I certainly think it's more emotional for Aaron Rodgers than it is for the Packers, per se. A lot of these guys, the younger guys, weren't here when Rodgers was here. But it's a significant game on both sides coming up on Sunday night.
Yeah, and when you say emotional, because just brought up Delaney there, sorry about that. When you say emotional, do you mean because of the way he left, or because he spent so much time there? And really, let's be honest, Green Bay made him.
I think all those things. You spend that much time, Aaron Rodgers, you're drafted in the NFL, Mary, you could end up in any city. He ended up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. He was surprised to have fallen as far as he did in the draft. Didn't play for his first 3 seasons, didn't really play for his first 3 seasons, and then put together a Hall of Fame career as a Green Bay Packer. Won a Super Bowl, won 4 NFL MVPs. That is just a monstrous career right there. But then was ready for a new challenge and wanted to go elsewhere. And, then you're turning your back on that team and that organization to a degree. It seems like things have mellowed a little bit from the initial departure on the Rodgers side of things and on the Packers side of things, but there was a lot of emotion there in terms of, keep in mind Brian Gutekunst, the Packers general manager, who drafted Jordan Love and then gave Aaron Rodgers a contract extension. He was kind of caught in the middle. Obviously, he was committing to Love in the future, but Rodgers in the current time and, just by drafting Love had kind of set up an exit for Aaron Rodgers. So there are a lot of people who have had their careers affected by the Rodgers tenure here in Green Bay and then the Rodgers to Love transition.
Yeah, exactly. Getting back to the game itself, we saw that nail biter last Sunday. That was really tough. When it comes to the X's and the O's, the game. What do the Packers have to do to shut them down, because they have a lot of incentive to do so?
Apparently, Mary, the Packers are just not interested in ever playing an easy game, right? Every game is going to be a grinder. My goodness. The emotions that they have poured into their games, even Sunday at Arizona, they had to work hard to win that game. When they did, they felt good about it, but boy, that's draining. And obviously, as I said, that with the hype machine rolling and Rodgers and the Packers and all the build up to this one, it's not going to be just an easy show up game on the road in a raucous environment either. Pittsburgh Steelers fans are notoriously supportive of their team. They're going to have all Sunday and all weekend. They got to get cranked up for the game. So X's and O's, you're going to have to execute. You're going to have to avoid mistakes. I think really avoiding mistakes will determine who wins the game. The wrong turnover for either team, the Steelers or the Packers, that could be it. The Packers have had special teams problems this year. A special teams mistake, that could be it. So I would expect another close game. That's all the Packers seem to play, Mary.
Yeah, exactly. We can never relax, as we want to say. Well, hopefully it is. There's going to be a lot of trash talking. I'm sure a lot of shared and mutual respect there, particularly between the two quarterbacks, Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. But hopefully we don't see that kind of ugly side at times that we can see from Aaron Rodgers. I own you. Isn't that what he said to the kind of kiddingly at that time to the Bears fan who said something?
Yeah.
But,
I still own you. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
He did. So, Aaron Rodgers definitely has had some lines over the years that are very memorable. The RELAX and I'm going to run the table and the I own you to the Chicago fans, all kinds of things like that. But that's part of what made up his years in Green Bay. No question about it. Jordan Love doesn't give you those memorable lines, doesn't give you those moments maybe necessarily. He's more of a body of work kind of guy. So it's a bit of a contrast there for these two quarterbacks who did work very well together, have a good relationship. And as I said, looking forward to talking to Jordan Love here coming up within the next hour to kind of get his take on this matchup coming up Sunday night.
Well, we'll let you do that. Thank you so much for making yourself available, Tim. Always a pleasure. We look forward to a great game this Sunday, and of course you'll be there to cover it. So thank you for your time, my friend.
Sounds great, Mary. See you later.
See you later. Go Pack, go. All right. Well, as we bring it back here to the Wisconsin Live Desk, always great to see Tim. I never want to assume he can join us because he's got a lot going on out there. So as you can see, he's going to be talking to Love, and of course that game this Sunday against the Steelers. It's going to be crazy. I was looking for the start time at that. I know that it's an evening game. It's a lot on the line. Full disclosure, I still have my Aaron Rodgers jersey from back in the day. I'll put it in the closet. I also have a Jordy Nelson jersey. I could wear that. That may channel some good energy. Anyway, kickoff is 7:20 this Sunday. See the Packers take on the Steelers and hopefully a victorious win because, again, a lot on the line, particularly when it comes to trash talk and that, as Tim said, raucous environment there in Pittsburgh. Boy, the Steelers are not messing around. So, yeah, we'll see what becomes of that this Sunday. We'll keep an eye on that. We're also keeping our eye on, of course, the forecast, because in addition to the Packers playing this weekend, this is a time of year when we got a lot going on. So for all the goodies about the ghouls and the goblins and what people may be, the parents and the kids in for if they're going trick-or-treating this weekend, let's bring in weather expert Stephanie Barrichello. Oh, you are dressed for fall and looking lovely.
Yeah, a little dramatic today, but I literally had dust on my boots this morning that I had to kind of wipe off because it's been, a while since we've broken out the full fall attire here, but I wanted to be cozy and understandable, right, Mary? Because what a day it's been, just like yesterday. Cloudy, windy, chilly. Now we're tacking on a few sprinkles. So for today, especially if you're heading to the Bucs game later, walking to and from Fiserv Forum, make sure you have your thicker jacket. We do have some light sprinkles, light rain showers starting to make their way through parts of our northern communities. Nothing major here. In fact, as I'm looking out the window to our weather deck, the sun is actually peeking through a little bit here in Brown Deer. It's not going to last long, but hey, we'll take what we can get. I promise you there's more sunshine on the way Thursday, as well as into the weekend. I know Halloween is technically next week, but as Mary mentioned, anybody trick-or-treating this weekend, the weather is actually looking really nice. But our stretch of really gloomy and windy days, thanks to this very slow-moving low-pressure system, but you'll notice it's making its way eastward here. We do have another cold front out there, too. All this moisture is going to continue to move south and east of us throughout the rest of today and on into tonight, and that will allow a high pressure to get a little bit closer for tomorrow. So still some cloud cover for Thursday, but really once we get to Friday and especially Saturday, I do think we're going to have some decent sunshine here locally. The winds are still howling. Our gusts are anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour here locally and across much of the state. And take a look at temperatures. We have made it to 50 in Milwaukee and most of the southern lakeshore. Everybody else, though, just hanging out in these middle and upper 40s, and that 50 still feels a little chilly because of the strong wind. So again, if you're doing anything out and about this evening, maybe you still need to go buy a Halloween costume. Guilty of buying one off of Amazon yesterday. So I'm very late. I won't judge you if you're late too. If you're out and about this evening, again, just, you know, the same thing we've dealt with the last couple of days. Make sure you have that jacket. I don't even think you're going to need that rain gear. I do want to focus in on low temperatures overnight tonight. So our evening will be in the 40s, but look at statewide low temperatures for tonight. Sorry, that should say lows. We're going to drop into the 30s just about everywhere. Now, we're not technically under any frost or freeze headlines in southeast Wisconsin, but look at just off towards the west, La Crosse to Madison under a frost advisory. And look at Iowa and northwest Illinois. That's a freeze warning. So these areas, I think, will see clouds decrease a little quicker, so maybe just slightly more favorable conditions, slightly cooler conditions for frost formation throughout our nighttime hours tonight. Those of us in southeast Wisconsin, if you're west of Milwaukee, I would still take that precaution and maybe cover plants or bring them inside. We definitely have to do it tomorrow night because I think those headlines out west, we will see tomorrow night and maybe even Friday night as well, as we have a couple of cooler nights ahead. Look at all of these headlines, though, extending from parts of Nebraska and Kansas, then to the east, all the way into parts of Ohio, as well as Kentucky. We're all going to feel this little drop in temperatures, we'll say, over the next couple of nights. But once again, here in southeast Wisconsin and Milwaukee, evening hours in the 40s, overnight hours, middle and upper 30s. So I do think we'll escape some of the coldest temperatures. Now, technically, this is the time of year where we see our first frost and freeze. Now, this is for freeze. So that means, you know, temperatures in the upper 20s, kind of the end of the growing season. Northern Wisconsin, on average, that's at the end of September, and they've already seen their first freeze too. So that was right on cue. The rest of us, Green Bay down to Milwaukee, it is usually the middle and later portions of October. So like I said, some of this cooler air, it's coming in at a pretty normal time. Doesn't make it any easier to deal with, but it is pretty normal for this time of year. So again, if you're heading to the Bucks game tonight, Mary, make sure you have that jacket. Same with anything else you're doing, you know, outside tonight. And then the next couple of mornings, you know, kiddos walking to the bus stop, you might need that winter jacket because those 30s, even upper 30s in Milwaukee, that's going to feel chilly.
Yeah, exactly. I know you pulled out the sweater, as you said. It's sweater weather, and I pulled out the boots. Ooh. With the big deals. Yeah, yes. I got the all the way to the knees coming up today. I was like, like you. I'm like, where are the boots? They're in a box, and I'm yanking and pulling. You know, they haven't seen the light of day.
I know.
Since last spring. I tried to put them away early. Before we let you go, do you want to tell us what you're dressing up as? You just got that Halloween costume, or you reserve the right to let it be a surprise?
Oh,
really?
No, I don't mind. So let's see. My oldest daughter is going to be Bluey, which is a very popular Disney show.
Yes.
My middle daughter is going to be a black cat.
Oh.
That's what I bought off of Amazon yesterday. Oddly hard to find the little accessories, like the headband and the little tail. I had a difficult time finding that, so I ordered that yesterday. Oh. Youngest is going to be Bingo, which is the sibling of Bluey from that TV show. And Mary, I'm just keeping it simple. I just bought Minnie Mouse ears, and I already have a polka dot skirt, so I'm just going to be Minnie Mouse.
See, being a fashionista is paying off. I love it. I didn't know Bluey had a brother.
Sister,
a
technically.
Sister.
Yeah.
And what's the name of Bluey's sister?
Bingo.
Bingo and Bluey.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see pictures.
They're so cute. They're just these fuzzy little onesies. You know, young kids in onesies, it's meant to be for Halloween.
I want a onesie for Halloween. Can we? Yeah. Stephanie, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. A Bluey onesie. I'm in. How about you? There. What did I just say? I didn't have my Halloween costume. I'm in. There's got to be one adult size. And I'm a shorty. So I'm sure I can find something. Boy, Let's keep on the Halloween theme here, shall we? And something a little bit more scary than Bluey and his sister. We're going to take you out to Waukesha, where Brett Lemoyne is standing by with some news about goblins and ghosts. In fact, Brett, you're standing right, looks like in the middle of a cemetery, and you've talked to a guy who has written a book about some of the, what is it, some of the ghosts, some of the haunted themes of Waukesha? Is that what it is?
Supposedly haunted places, right, in Waukesha. We're not going to say ghosts are real, right? We're going to leave that up to the viewer to decide. If you think ghosts are real, more power to you. If you don't, you're probably not going to be swayed by this man's book. But it's actually pretty fascinating. This man, his name is Josh Hughes. He grew up in Waukesha. He claims when he was a child, he was visited by some spirits. And that kind of gave him a lifelong urge to seek out the paranormal. So for the last 5 years, he's been leading tours, walking tours here in Waukesha of some of the places that he says are haunted. They're quite popular, according to him, especially this time of year, Mary. You can imagine for Halloween, a lot of people want to do this. He says dozens of people come on every night for the tour, especially on Halloween night. It's a big night for him. So he decided it's time to write a book. So he wrote a book. It's hot off the presses. It's called Ghosts of Waukesha. It just came out this week. He's going to be distributing about 50 copies to some local bookshops in town. And he went around and basically did what he does on his tour, which is go to these places that he says are haunted and share the stories. He fashions himself a historian as well, so he dug into the backgrounds of all of these real people that died and now, he says, haunt various places in Waukesha. What do you think, Mary? Do you believe in ghosts?
I do. My mic was muted because I do. I love, believe it or not, a scary movie. It's like one of my things. When I was a little girl, I started with Planet of the Apes. You may be too young to remember that movie, but I've always liked that. So I do. I believe in all of that. But more importantly, I like the spirit, so to speak, of it. I like the chill and being afraid and kind of thinking about what we don't see.
Wait a minute. I don't remember any ghosts. I don't remember any ghosts in Planet of the Apes.
Well, no. I'm saying that kind of started it. That started my kind of like, ooh, I love a quote-unquote horror movie, which is, it was that's tame compared to what they have right now.
Yes.
But yeah, how about you?
You were visited by Charlton Heston.
I am so impressed that you knew that. Just when I think I couldn't love you anymore, and you know about Charlton Heston, I even had a Planet of the Apes doll. Yes. So that's kind of started my I love all things spooky. What about you? Yeah. Do you believe in ghosts, and do you like that kind of stuff, the scary movies?
So I'm going to walk a very journalistic line here since I'm reporting on ghosts tonight.
Yes.
I will say I see and respect people who believe in it, and I also see and respect people who say there's no proof and they don't believe in it, right? And so we're not going to sway anyone with our reporting tonight, but we are going to point out some pretty interesting things. Now, this man, Josh, he says he's going to show us some photographic proof, what he calls photographic proof of a spirit that haunts Cutler Park. Cutler Park is right in downtown Waukesha. It's right behind the library. There's a performance center, Les Paul Performance Center, that's back there where they have concerts and whatnot. He says his dad, a few years ago, took a photograph and just randomly, kind of like a picture of another individual, and behind them you can see a figure of a little girl. Now, children are kind of a theme in this book, because one of them, and this is sadly, I'll preface this, Mary, by saying this is a real case and very sad and tragic. One of them is an infamous cold case here in Waukesha. Some people may be familiar with it, others may not. The grave is just behind me here. It's the one with all these toys on it. They call it the Little Lord Fauntleroy case because back in 1921, investigators here in Waukesha found the body of a little boy who was murdered. And it was very, very sad, very tragic at the time, still is, of course, because no one ever wants to see that happen to anyone. But this was especially heinous because this boy was murdered. His body was found in a quarry here in Waukesha, and no one ever came forward and said, that's my child, or my child is missing. To this day, no one knows who this boy was. So the lore behind this is there was a woman in Waukesha at the time who this story really tugged at her heartstrings, and she raised some money for this tombstone that you see here behind us. And she would visit, when she was alive, she would visit the grave often and leave toys on the grave. Well, she died in the 50s, and ever since, the toys keep coming.
Ooh.
People, or maybe spirits, we don't know which, but the toys disappear. There's new toys that appear often. Sometimes they're moved, sometimes they're placed in a certain way that makes people kind of, the hairs on their neck kind of stand up a little bit. So that is kind of an interesting case. Little Lord Fauntleroy, this is going to go way back even before Planet of the Apes, Mary. We're going back 100 years here. Was a literary character at the turn of the century, and he was dressed in like a little sailor suit and stuff like that. And I guess apparently this boy was dressed similarly, and that's why investigators at the time dubbed it the Little Lord Fauntleroy case. Very sad, but of course, this brings up a very important question, right? I mean, is this man, is Josh Hughes, is he profiting from real tragedies? I mean, this was a real tragedy that happened here in Waukesha, and I asked him that during our interview, and he was not defensive, but he said, yes, he's making money off of the book, he's making money off of the tours here in Waukesha, but at the end of the day, he really believes that what he's doing is more or less preserving Waukesha history, that he's sharing these stories and in a sense keeping this boy alive in a lot of ways, and keeping the public interest high about this case. Maybe someday we will find out who this boy is, and that would be a goal of his. But again, he's gone through the whole city. He knows where all the ghosts are. He knows where all the scary stories are. And again, we will leave it to the viewer to determine whether or not that's real or if it's just baloney.
He knows where the skeletons are. I love the journalistic line that you are walking, and it is an important question, but at the same time, I didn't know anything about this till you pointed it out. And with all of the DNA evidence now that is coming to light and all of the cold cases that are being solved, there was a time you thought, oh, this will never be solved. You never know. You never know what little traces that could link one thing to the other. I know I am fascinated with all that. So yeah, there's something to that. But it sounds fascinating. I'm looking forward to the interview, and thank you for telling me about a part of Waukesha and a famous cold case, if you will, albeit tragic, that I didn't know about. It's very interesting. Yeah, well, thank you, Brett.
And it's perfect timing for Halloween, and you're going to see a device called a ghost box, Mary. Ooh. So be prepared tonight when you see the report. It's going to air on our newscasts on air, but also you'll be able to stream it on Fox Local anytime after 5 o'clock tonight. And what this device is it's like basically a radio. And so Josh takes this radio around with him through Waukesha in hopes of tuning in and being able to hear the spirits communicate back with him. One last thing I want to leave you with, because I thought this was interesting. I said to him, why do you suppose there's all of these ghosts? What are they doing hanging out in Waukesha, right? Why are they sticking around here? It's a lovely place. I live here myself. But I was like, what is it about this city that you think attracts these spirits and the paranormal? And his answer was kind of interesting. He said, there's a lot of quarries in Waukesha, and apparently the limestone in particular is a conduit for communicating with the spirits.
Really?
So, again, I'm not going to be delivering any proof of that tonight on our newscast, but that's what he says, and that is believed in the paranormal community. Josh just spoke at a convention called Paracon, I believe is what it was called. It was in Milwaukee just last week, where people from all over come and they share ghost stories and talk about their own personal paranormal experiences, but they believe that limestone is kind of a conduit for these things. So
Is that right?
keep that in mind next time you're out and about, and tuning your radio if you still have one in your car or on your person.
Oh, I got my boombox. Will that work?
Yeah, yes, that's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, it's spooky stuff, and it's at the very least, it's kind of fun to talk about, especially this time of year. And you know, we keep a good balance on it. So stay tuned.
What great insight, Brett Lemoyne, shedding new light on so many things. Limestone quarries. I bet they didn't have those in Planet of the Apes. Take that.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm gonna go get my tinfoil hat, Mary, but I'll be back later tonight.
Looking forward to it. Brett Lemoyne in Waukesha. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. That is really interesting. Do I not have the best coworkers ever? Yeah. Between Tim Van Voren, Stephanie Barrichello, and Brett Lemoyne, my day's made. How about you? I can leave and go home now. Oh, no, wait. I'll be back for Fox 6 News at 5 with Ted. But Ted is standing by right outside the door like, wrap it up. It's his turn to come on and join you on Fox Local. Yeah, he's getting a little bit, yeah. Did you have your lunch today? I think he had his Wheaties. He's ready to go. We're going to leave you with a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to have word now on the government shutdown, now entering day 22 with no end in sight. Ted's going to bring you up to date on that and then take you around southeastern Wisconsin for more of Fox Local when we come right back. Pleasure to be with you today. I've loved every minute of it. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. But in the meantime, get ready. Ted Perry on deck.
To the executive, like the fact that you can't fire inspector generals unless they for cause in 30 days, the attack on due process and free speech and free press, the weaponization in general of the Justice Department, of which this is kind of a facet of it, and then the effort to get court decisions that enable the president to deploy the military in the streets when there is no insurrection, no rebellion, and no invasion. And this last piece, I think, is extraordinarily dangerous. Not yet an issue that has come to your home in Virginia, but it's come to Southern California and to D.C. and to Portland, Oregon, and to Chicago, Illinois, and there will be others.
What do I press? Yeah. Okay.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, Ted Perry with you on Wednesday, October 22nd, as we enter the 22nd day of the government shutdown. I believe that's where we are right now. Good to be with you. 49 degrees. Funny to think the last time I joined you on the Wisconsin Live Desk, I was outside Dodger Stadium in about 84-degree weather, so this is a bit of a switch, but happy to be back home with you. Back to the news of the day. Brewers are out of it. Bummer. Could have been having a Game 7 last night, but that was not to be. Let's move on from that. And let us go right to Congress, the Senate floor. Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon talking about the government shutdown. We'll listen in. Well, this is now Tim Kaine back speaking, the Democratic senator from Virginia and one-time vice presidential
that spent
candidate.
4 days in the library at William & Mary to design a state seal. And the state seal, which I'm wearing, I wear this all the time, is an unusual one. It is a woman Amazon representing virtue standing atop a deposed monarch whose crown has fallen off. And the state motto, the only one that isn't a positive, the Virginia motto, is a warning. It's a rebuke. It's Latin, sic semper tyrannis, thus be it always to tyrants. And the framers picked the future verb tense. They didn't say down with tyrants, we don't like tyrants, we've defeated tyrants. They used the future verb tense because they believed that tyranny wasn't a form of government, it was a fact of human nature. It was a fact of human nature that would not go away, and we would always need virtue to be able to defeat tyranny. And so as you're talking about authoritarianism and where we are I'm just reminded of the fact that Virginians predicted in 1776 that the nation would need to always be on guard against tyranny. And in the formation of the Constitution, and my colleague has done a great job of looking at provisions of the Constitution, we invested a lot of power in the hands of an executive, but then we put checks, Congress, the courts, a free press. You shouldn't go to war without a vote of Congress. The appropriations power was for Congress, not the president. We put all these checks in place to stop the reality of tyranny. And as we round the corner into 250 years of American democracy, we are a nation looking in the mirror and asking ourselves the question of whether we still believe in democracy over tyranny. Do we still believe it? In 1776, 30% of Americans were for monarchy. When we tell the story of the revolution, it wasn't that 100% of Americans believed in democracy. 30% were for tyranny and monarchy. It was what they knew, or they had a financial tie, or a family tie to England, or maybe they were worried that democracy would be too messy. It wasn't a foregone conclusion that democracy would be the choice. Every generation has to answer the question for itself. Do we still prefer in democracy over tyranny? And as we face this 250th anniversary of the nation's birth, we're confronted with that. I've handed my colleague a photo. I had hoped to have it on a poster, but the photo was taken today. And I didn't have time to turn it into a poster. But I want to ask my colleague from Oregon to describe what it is you see in that photograph.
Well, thank you for the question. I thought when you were going to hand me this, I was going to have a Rorschach test or something of that nature. But I knew within seconds what this was. As soon as I realized it was machinery and not parts of a bridge. But this is the demolition at the White House to prepare for some $300 million ballroom. At least that's what I'm nominating as my answer. And I would yield you a question if you would like to follow up.
I would love to ask a follow-up question if the senator would allow.
I will indeed. Question.
You know what a metaphor is. A metaphor is something that not only stands for itself, but it stands for something else. As you look at that picture of the White House being demolished today, at the very time as you were standing on this floor talking about authoritarianism,
Now you can hear me. I had the mute button on, which most viewers would say, please keep that on. But no, Stephanie Barrichello is going to join us, and we're going to be able to hear you if I press the right buttons.
Hello.
That sounds good to me.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you, Ted?
Good. Thank you for joining us. I know you were on earlier, but it's a day that we need to talk weather because it's cold and windy. And did we get more rain overnight? What happened?
Yeah, just some light pockets of rain, a lot less than what we even experienced yesterday. And to put it into perspective for you, yesterday's rainfall totals, it was kind of on and off much of the day, less than 1/10 of an inch. So even though it felt like we saw decent rain yesterday, it did not really amount to much. And kind of the same situation right now. We're seeing a lot more green filling in across southeast Wisconsin, but this is essentially sprinkles, some mist, some drizzle. So enough to maybe use your windshield wipers from time to time, but it is in no way a super beneficial rain, if that makes sense. Now, wind gusts have been a big story for today. They're actually, believe it or not, a little better right now than what they were earlier this morning. We had gusts over 35 miles per hour at a period of time earlier this morning. Now, most spots are still between 20 and about 25 miles per hour, but still a handful of communities closing in on about 30 miles per hour. I know it's been a really windy stretch of weather. Tomorrow's going to be breezy, we'll say. We could have wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour, but then by Friday, the wind is significantly lighter. And that's because this low pressure system that's brought us this period of time of the wind and the cloud cover and rain is finally going to move eastward. So we're just about done with it, I promise you. Now, temperatures, we are impacted by the cloud cover and those light sprinkles, absolutely. Back down to 49 in Milwaukee. We did make it to 50 a short time ago. 52 in West Bend, 46 in Waukesha, so clearly another chilly afternoon here locally. And temperatures from here will hold pretty steady where they're at into our dinner hour. But then overnight tonight, as clouds start to decrease a little bit, we are going to cool down quite a bit. In fact, overnight lows here in southeast Wisconsin will very likely be within the middle and upper 30s. So some patchy frost is a possibility away from Lake Michigan. Those of you lucky enough to go to the Bucks game tonight, jealous, number one. Number two, you're still going to need that jacket, especially if you're walking around downtown before you head to Fiserv Forum. Temperatures during that period of time will be in the mid-40s, but we'll have the wind still, so it is going to feel a little chilly. Could have a few sprinkles by that time still, but most of us will be drying out. It's just going to be more of the same. The cloud cover, the wind, the chilly temperature.
So what you're saying is the roof will be closed tonight?
The roof will be closed.
Oh, at Fiserv.
Oh, wait, it's always closed.
It's always closed, right. Sorry, I'm transitioning. All right, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, keep going. You're on a roll.
I love it, but I mean, the Deer District, you know, it's going to be a little chilly. Now, overnight low temperatures, we talked about this earlier, but I think this is the most important. If you take anything away with tonight and tomorrow night's forecast, it's going to be that temperatures are dropping into the 30s, especially tomorrow night. You'll notice statewide, we're going to see some of these chilly temps. Here in Milwaukee, only upper 30s by tomorrow morning, so cold as you're walking to the bus stop, as kiddos are walking to the bus stop, but not really looking at frost here in the Milwaukee area. Inland spots will see mid-30s, so a slightly better chance to see just some patchy areas of frost. That being said, we're not included in a frost advisory for tonight. The better setup is actually out towards the west. So you can see La Crosse to Madison, down towards the south and across Iowa. Not only frost advisories, but that dark purple is actually a freeze warning. I think by tomorrow night, so early Friday morning, we're going to see these headlines moving eastward. So we have a better chance to see frost and maybe even our first hard freeze away from the lake tomorrow night, as we see temperatures inland potentially dropping to upper 20s, lakeshore communities low 30s, maybe still just above freezing. But again, the frost potential, the freeze potential looking more likely tomorrow night on into Friday morning. But even tonight, if you're in those far western communities, you know, think Fond du Lac, Dodge, Jefferson counties, safe, better be safe than to be sorry, right? I would still cover those plants even though we are not under that frost advisory. And again, I think there will be just a little bit more clearing out towards the west, and that will help temperatures fall a little bit more, which is why they have the better chance to see some of the frost. Now, this is a wide area, a pretty broad area that's going to feel the temperature drop. You can see west of us, even Omaha under a freeze warning for tonight. And you know, the criteria for these frost and freeze headlines, they are different across parts of the United States. Ours is clearly going to be different than southern Illinois, right? But again, that 32-degree mark, and even just above that to about 34, 35, frost can still form. So you can see a lot of spots down south, even towards the east, Ohio, Kentucky, that are under some type of frost or freeze headline. So we're all in the same boat here as this low pressure system that's brought us all the same pattern moves eastward. We're all going to clear out. We're all going to feel the impacts of a cold front, and we will all see those colder temperatures, Ted. So I don't know if you still have mums going near your house. I'm sure you do. Right? You probably cover those.
You know what I do? I buy plants and I leave them there. I think I might just start, you know, culling the garden back. I mean, no, seriously, because this is the time where you got to clean it out for next year, right? Yeah. I might try to plant some bulbs for next year, though. Is this a good weekend to do that, or?
Yeah, I think usually it's after the first frost.
Okay, so wait a little bit if I want to put tulips in? Okay.
I think I normally do mine in November. Now, I'm no gardening expert, though. But I do like to wait until November.
Okay.
Maybe we need Melinda Myers in here. She would probably know.
Oh, she's the best. Can we talk about northern Wisconsin? I'm going to ask for selfish reasons. Yeah. I have a cabin up in Vilas County, and I got to close it down before the first big freeze up there or my pipes will burst. Yeah. And with the Brewers coverage and following the team being out in LA, I haven't had time, and I won't have time until next week. So what do we know about northern Wisconsin and severe frost warnings up there?
They technically have had their first freeze already. That was actually back in September, but you know, not terrible because the temperatures climbed right after that, so not worried for you at all. I would say if you're able to in the next weekend or two, I would head up. I mean, temperatures are not looking extremely cold up there. In fact, they're going to be very similar to those of us here in southern Wisconsin. But as you know, we are pretty much nearing that time where this is going to become more common to see some of these below freezing temperatures.
And can you believe what's happening already this weekend in a lot of suburbs? Trick-or-treating.
I know. I'm
already.
excited.
You are excited?
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, I think, where we live, right?
Yes.
Is that the time?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. Okay, so maybe I like to get the solo stove out, get a little fire going in the front yard, dish out candy. I don't live on a block with a lot of kids, so sometimes I buy a lot of candy.
Yeah.
And no one comes. And do I make the investment? That's the question. I know you live on a street with a lot of kids, so your candy will be gone. You've got to have, 1, 2, and 3 ready to go, right? Like in terms of stock.
Oh, yeah.
I usually don't even go through one, and then I just leave the bowl out and, let whoever wants it get it. What is it going to be like for trick-or-treaters on Sunday in that time period?
Sunday's actually going to be a pretty nice day. I do
Good.
think we'll have some clouds still, but temperature-wise, and during that time frame, especially those middle afternoon hours, we could be in the low 60s, which is actually a little above average for that day, so we'll absolutely take it. It's not going to be as windy. And even Saturday, I think Saturday more so some upper 50s, but those temperatures, I mean, are still great with everybody wearing their usually pretty bulky costumes, right? Still not out of the question, or a good idea if you have a later time, because I know there are some communities who more so do it at night after sunset. That would be the time to layer up, but I think for a lot of us, with all the walking around and all the excitement, we're going to feel just fine.
Kids will be excited. They don't care how cold it is,
That
right?
is
I don't ever remember being deterred by the weather, and I grew up in the Midwest trick-or-treating like you did. I never thought, I'm not going to go this year. It's wind chills at 48. I'm going to sit this one out. I've never thought that.
You just put the puffy jacket on, you're fine.
Weather and the World Series is going to be really interesting because first 2 games are going to be up in Toronto. They have a better record than the Dodgers. They have the Rogers Center, formerly known as Sky Dome. It's got a roof, so it'll likely be closed. I don't know if you have the forecast for Toronto for this weekend, but I can't imagine it's going to be 75 degrees at night.
Yeah.
And then they go to LA for games 3, 4, and 5, which I can tell you firsthand is an absolutely beautiful place to be this time of year. It's going to be really interesting weather-wise on the 2 teams.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of back and forth, like you said, kind of a cooler climate to a more steady, warmer climate. So, that's a pretty big contrast.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into Toronto's weather, but like you said, I highly doubt they're warm at this point in time. So that will be very interesting, just to see the back and forth and how the teams adjust to the different climates there.
It'll be game 1 and 2, Friday and Saturday here on Fox 6. They're going to take Sunday off because baseball's pretty smart. They don't want to compete with NFL football. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday out at Dodger Stadium. And if they need to, then they'll take, Thursday off and go back Friday and Saturday. Game 7 of the World Series is slated for November 1st if it's needed. So that is coming up on us. So I was in, you'll like this story, I was in LA the other day, game 4 when Shohei Ohtani hit 3 home runs. 3 home runs. And I was watching down in the media room with 3 gentlemen, photojournalists from Japan, who on the 3rd home run, they just started laughing. Even they're amazed, and they've seen him play longer than Americans have. And the first thing that came to mind, and you're a baseball fan, so you'll realize this, the first thing that came to mind, and I'm checking my notes here, is how do you say, is Reggie Jackson, 1977, hit 3 home runs in a game, earned the nickname Mr. October. Well, I said to these fellas, I said, do you mind translating for me? How do you say Mr. October in Japanese? And they conferred among themselves. Are you ready?
Ready.
I got my notes here. Jugatsu Notogo.
Oh.
And then he turned to me and he said, October Man. It doesn't really translate to Mr. October, but October Man. And Shohei Ohtani is certainly that. I bring that up because I want to know who, you're a big baseball fan.
I am.
I know your allegiances started with the Cubs, but we're reeling you in.
We're getting close.
Reeling you in.
I wanted the Brewers to win this year.
Yes, you're very diplomatic about it, okay? Unlike some people in our newsroom who are Cub fans who won't be named, but it rhymes with Mashley beers. Anyway, who you like? Who do you want and who do you like here? Where's your heart?
I think the Dodgers deserve to win again. That last game against the Brewers it just really showed how incredible that team is.
Yeah.
I mean, and you always want the team that beats your team to just go all the way.
Yes.
Because then you're like, oh, we lost to the World Series
right.
team. Like, of course we did. But I do think the Dodgers are really good. That being said, I have not paid attention to Toronto at all. And you mentioned they had the better record, so
they have the better record. So
interesting.
yeah, so they will have home. If Seattle had won, the Dodgers would have had home field advantage.
Okay.
You know, back in the day, they used to just go American League has it this year, National League, and then they decided, well, that's not fair. And then remember, they came up with that crazy whoever wins the All-Star game, which I thought was fine.
Yeah.
And then they decided, you know what the most equitable thing is now that everybody plays everybody, is to give it to the team with the best record, which would have been our Milwaukee Brewers had it happened. But that's that ship has sailed. I feel bad for Seattle. They are the only Major League team not to make the World Series.
Oh.
Every other franchise, including the Miami Marlins, who came in even later than Seattle, have been to the World Series twice.
Well, I think they're getting there. They've had a couple of good seasons, so
Yes.
who knows?
But I kind of like Toronto. Look, I agree with you. I have nothing against Toronto. I think they're a good team. They're fun to watch. They got a really smart manager.
Yeah.
But you want the team, you're exactly right. You want the team that beats your team to go on and keep winning.
Yeah.
So I want Toronto to be skunked in 4 games. So everyone says, oh, maybe the Brewers aren't that bad. Maybe they, weren't that dominant. Maybe they were just dominated by a better team. But here's a reason to root for Toronto. They have a UW Milwaukee player.
Really?
Yes, his name is Dalton Varsho. He's their center fielder, and he was a UWM Panther.
Wow.
And I spoke to his coach recently who just, heaps praises on this young guy. And his dad was Gary Varsho, who grew up in Marshfield, Wisconsin, who played at UW Oshkosh and then played for the Chicago Cubs for a while.
Wow. I
Yes.
love this family.
Yes, and then the dad, Gary, came within a game of going to the World Series with the Pittsburgh Pirates twice. In 91 and 92, and they lost both series in Game 7. So the son, there's a storyline there, right? The son is revenging the father, if you want to put it into,
Yes.
great themes. So I don't know who to root for.
Oh, yeah, that's tricky because I like that.
Yeah, and you want to root for the local guy, right, who played at UW Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a great series. I got to say the Dodger fans were great. They treated us well. The Brewer fans I talked to said, these fans, I got to admit, are pretty cool. The Cubs series was so tense and ugly.
Yeah.
But, it was pretty cool to be out there. All right.
That's good.
We've now talked about baseball as much as we talked about weather, and I think you and I are both okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Very good. I know Mary already asked you about your Halloween outfit, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What are you doing?
Let's see. I'm being Minnie Mouse.
Love it.
Super easy. Are you familiar with Bluey?
Yeah, I'm Bluey adjacent. I know people who have kids, so when they talk about
So you have an
Bluey's
idea.
a girl, as it turns out.
Bluey is a girl. So my oldest is going to be Bluey, and my youngest is actually going to be in the show. It's the little sister. I know my youngest is a boy. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He is going to be the little sister, technically. Bingo. So
Okay. And the
2
middle
are
one?
together, and then my middle is going to be a cat.
Okay, going her own way?
She always does.
Oh, is that okay?
She is her own person.
I love that. I love that. All right. Thank you, as always. I don't only get to do this once a week, but it's great to have one of our weather experts on, and I love talking to you. So you're free to go. You're
Thank
free
you.
to move about the cabin.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All
Bye,
right,
Ted.
that was Stephanie Barrichello for us, and we'll bring it back to me right here. 3 o'clock now, 49 degrees. Always great to hear from Stephanie and get her insight on everything from, baseball to weather. Doesn't matter. She's fun, good people to talk to. Let's go back to the Senate floor, shall we? Why don't we do that? I'm going to bring up Router 2 here. This is Adam Schiff, the senator from California, and they are talking again about the government shutdown. So let's give a listen here as we take you back.
And what do you feel we can do to save this inheritance?
Well, I so appreciate the question from my colleague from California. And I must say, this was a pretty comprehensive
And this, by the way,
list you
I'm going to pipe his mic down real quick.
And,
this is Jeff Merkley, Democratic senator from Oregon, who's been now on the Senate floor for almost 20 hours at this point.
And but I think the one that I didn't have that I actually agree with very much is your final point, the fire hose of falsehoods. Because we are just adrift in a sea of misinformation and disinformation. And added into that toxic brew is a whole lot of just basic propaganda in a place that doesn't belong. And that we see, if you go out to the Portland airport, you will not hear the tape that Noam once played, because she wanted it played in airports all around the country, and a group of airports, led first by Portland, Oregon, said no, it's breaking the law, it's breaking the Hatch Act, it's breaking the Anti-Lobbying Act, it's breaking some other act on the list. And in this situation where the administration does not care what the law says, the philosophy is we are the unitary executive, we're in charge, and we can do whatever the hell we want, take us to court if you don't like it, attitude. And then we see the deliberate crushing of rights, and we see the deliberate grabbing of the power of the purse from Congress. The difference between an authoritarian government, there's many differences, but one way to describe it, authoritarian government and democracy, is in the democracy, representatives of the people decide what the programs are, how they're funded, and how they'll be run. And in an authoritarian, all those powers of what are the programs, how much money will go into them, how they run, transitions to the executive, the all-powerful executive. So we can see every time we hear Trump or his cabinet members saying, I'm canceling that grant, I'm defunding that program, because it doesn't act consistent with the priorities of this administration. That's an authoritarian statement. And we are deep into this authoritarian crisis. The poster behind me says, ring the alarm bells. I thank you for helping to ring these alarm bells in a very cogent and extensive way. I thank the 7 million people who went out and protested on Saturday for ringing the alarm bells. Because what we know is if we do not confront tyranny in its first year, and if we do not find a way to have a strong rebuttal in the next election, then it becomes entrenched. And it is our responsibility, our oath to the Constitution, to not let that happen. Thank you. And I notice we have a colleague from Vermont on the floor. If the colleague might be interested in asking a question. I would yield for a question.
How are you managing to do this? You've been up all night, and your staff too. It is really, really quite extraordinary.
Well, thank you for that question. I am on the verge of
and the staff
falling over, but I've got an hour more before we're going to wrap up this effort. I am so pleased that so many have been able to come from the caucus and help ring the alarm bells, because this is the most perilous moment for our republic since the Civil War. And never did I expect it to be in my time. I thought, yes, we argue over housing policy and how can we best have a decent home and a decent community. And yes, we argue over education policy and how can it be a pathway for every child to have a full and productive life. All these foundations. Another question. I would yield for another question. Yes, I would.
All right. Well,
make it a long one.
I'll make it a longish one, but I want to join in my colleagues in expressing to you our gratitude for this incredible physical effort that reflects not just your intellectual engagement, but your deep passion in the care you have for the Oregonians that you have been serving so well for so long. It's really been, just for me, a wonderful opportunity being a new member of the Senate. Along with Senator Schiff, I know you feel the same way, to be working with somebody like the senators from Oregon, who's just honest and true and totally grounded in your commitment to the people that you serve, in the Constitution that all of us serve. It's just a gratifying experience for us to be your colleague. You know, one thing that I want to talk about was tariffs and who has the authority to impose tariffs and what the implications are. Because what I'm seeing is that our farm economy is really being devastated by tariffs. And let's talk about Midwest farmers. They're proud folks, like the dairy farmers in Vermont. And they used to have markets. The thing they love to do is have purchasing power that they earned by tilling the land, family farm operations that...
Okay, so what's happening here? You are watching something rather extraordinary, actually, on the Senate floor, where Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon has been holding a marathon session, I think going on close to 20 hours right now, and he said he's going to wrap it up within the next hour. He is talking about a myriad of issues, including the government shutdown, who Democrats think are responsible. He's yielding, if you'll notice, he's yielding to fellow Senate Democrats. So Tim Kaine has dropped in. Senator Adam Schiff of California has paused for a question. The Senator Welch of Vermont. And the goal here is to give him a little bit of time to catch your breath, get something to drink. He's got to stand up, I believe, the whole time, which is an extraordinary feat. Consider that Jeff Merkley will be 69 years old on Friday. So we'll keep an eye on this. But what we're going to do right now is take a little break. When we come back, we're going to talk Bucks basketball because tip-off is tonight. So we'll take a break from politics for a moment.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, everybody. 311 Ted Perry, 49 degrees outside. We've talked weather with Stephanie Barrichello. We've taken you to the U.S. Senate to talk about a marathon session there by a Democratic senator from Oregon who's making his points on a number of issues. Right now, though, we want to talk Bucks basketball as we take a look at Fiserv Forum. Looks glowing in the sunlight tonight, but it'll be a chilly one down at the Deer District. I doubt a lot of people will be watching on the outdoor screen, although the diehards who couldn't get tickets will be. You got to hand it to those folks who seem to be out there in all sorts of weather. Significant tonight for a couple reasons. Well, tip-off is at 7 o'clock tonight. But there is an old friend coming back into town, Chris Middleton. Cash money. Chris Middleton, number 22 on your roster, number 1 in your hearts for a lot of you. He was a popular player, did so many things for the community. And there's going to be a video presentation for him tonight. And Doc Rivers said yesterday he's made it a point to pop his head into the video room where they do all the hype videos. And he wants to check it. He wants to make sure this is appropriately good. He doesn't want something slapped together. He wants to make sure that Chris Middleton knows that he is loved in this town, knows that he's respected by the organization. He was part of a trade that you could argue maybe didn't work out so well in the long run, but it was a trade nonetheless for the Milwaukee Bucks. So he comes back tonight, the first time he comes back as a Washington Wizard. He is undoubtedly going to get a standing ovation when he is introduced in the starting lineup or when he comes off the bench. I'm not sure if he is in the starting lineup. I don't know the Washington roster all that well, the Wizards roster all that well, to be honest with you. I know they're not a great team, and they're in the middle of a five-year rebuilding program, and this is year 3. But they're charging full NBA prices, but that's a problem for Wizard fans, not for us. So anyway, he's coming to town, and again, Doc Rivers wanted to make sure that the video that will be played to welcome him back is top-notch. You imagine the pressure in the video room when Doc Rivers knocks on the door and says, hey, how's that video coming along? I want to take a look at it. So speaking of taking a look at things, I want to show you I want to be able to show you this. This is Giannis Antetokounmpo's tweet. Back to basketball, baby. And I don't know what what's that emoji? I know it's flexing. Delaney, any idea?
I think it's a wolf.
Okay, so he's like the wolf on a hunt. I'm on the hunt, I'm after you, as Duran Duran said.
It must be.
I've never heard him refer to himself as a wolf like that. But yeah, he's going to put on his new Giannis shoes. You know how often NBA players get new shoes, Delaney?
No, I don't.
About every game.
Oh, really?
Yes. Where's Delaney? Why can I find you?
You gotta pop tag board down.
What's that? Oh, I gotta take the tag board down. There she is. There's our producer, Delaney. Yeah, every game they get a new pair of shoes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
That is.
Like, I would think you'd want to have them worn in and they'd last a while. I'm not saying every NBA player, but it's not uncommon for them to get new shoes, especially if they have a shoe deal.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they get, like, Giannis takes his off every game and gives them to some couple of kids. So.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like some people might have like a lucky pair.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to put on your, your memento shelf at home. You know, I've got a whole collection of bobbleheads and things and whatever. And I know you're a baseball fan. Are you a Bucks fan?
I am.
You are? More so or less so?
About the same. I think I like the Bucks a little more. Because basketball makes a little bit more sense to me than baseball, but...
How does baseball not make sense to you?
It makes sense, but I think basketball, for me, more fun to watch. It's a little faster pace.
Okay. All right. I will take baseball any day of the week. I love the Bucks. I think they're a great organization. I was a season ticket holder for many years, and 2021, someday I will leave this place, not for a long time. Nobody worry or get excited either way, knowing how you look at my departure. But 2021 will always be in my heart of what that summer did in a time of COVID and distancing and people just coming together in the Deer District. Were you around for that?
I was around. It was a lot of
Where
fun.
were you in your life at that point, as I give a plug to Sharp Literacy?
I was in my senior year of college.
At UWM?
I was in Eau Claire.
Oh, that's right,
home
Eau
for
Claire.
the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you go down there a lot?
Yeah, my friends and I went to the Deer District a lot.
Okay, it was so fun, and so
Yeah.
hopefully we can see that again. And I'm going to take a look here at Pfizer Forum. And can we talk about food that is coming our way? New food at Pfizer Forum. Is that something I have to do, or do you do it? Oh, look at you, you're doing that. Milwaukee Bucks announcing their new menu items for the upcoming season, including King's Hawaiian Pretzel Bites. The Bucks will become the first NBA team to serve King's Hawaiian Pretzel Bites, which will be available at the newsstand outside Section 103. How about Floor Child Pizza? The stands will be two of them, Sections 119 and 224. Whole pizzas in addition to pizza by the slice. Floor Child Pizza will also add a garden salad and a Caesar salad at Sections 108, 119, and 224. Want a hot dog? How about Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs will provide its iconic hot dogs at concession stands throughout Pfizer Forum. Walter Murphy's cooking Johnsonville brats. Do you remember that commercial, Delaney?
I do not.
Oh, you don't remember that commercial? Yeah, and the whole neighborhood comes running because Charlie Murphy's cooking, or Charlie Wilson, whatever his name is, cooking Johnsonville brats. Anyway, the jumbo brats will be available at Sections 118 and 223. And Mecca Burger Bar with loaded fries. That's going to be available outside Sections 116 and 221. And there's more, right? Do we have the smokestack up there? Or is that? Okay. Smokestack stand will be Section 122. That's going to be a giant bone-in beef rib. And then Southside Market at Section 207 will add loaded potatoes to its menu. Do you have the beverage up there or no? Then I'll tell you about them on camera. Come back to me. Come back home. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to read this from the Bucks website here. Milwaukee-based Calypso Lemonade, the official lemonade of the Milwaukee Bucks, available at Section 119 and at all Flower Child and Cluckery stands in the arena. Core Water, it's the official water of the Bucks and Pfizer Forum. And bars throughout Pfizer Forum will now have Skimmers Spiked Iced Tea. And here's another thing, Bango's Workshop. It's a new immersive interactive fan experience. It's going to open, not tonight, it won't be open, but early November. It's going to give fans the opportunity to custom build their gear and walk away with a one-of-a-kind item. So you could get, Delaney down this sleeve and, love the Bucks on this, or whatever you want to do to make it and have a one-of-a-kind jacket. So that's pretty cool right there. All right, that's Bucks basketball. Tip-off tonight at 7 o'clock. If you're going, get down there early. You don't want to miss all the pregame festivities. I don't know when they're actually honoring Cash Money, Chris Middleton, but you're going to want to get there to see that. We do need to take another break. I've been a little delinquent in taking my break, so we're going to do that right now. We'll be right back on the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's 3:19. I'm Ted Perry, and you're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk on Fox Local.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, everybody. Ted Perry at 3:24. A few more minutes with you on our 2:30 to 3:30 segment of the Wisconsin Live Desk today. I want to take you outside real quick. If you're watching us inside, that's probably a good idea. You're not missing much. You can see the flag on the Associated Bank building and on City Hall, a double flag indicator today of the strong winds we got out there, and you can see the clouds, and you can tell by the droplets on one of our downtown cameras here that it has been kind of a yucky October day, but kind of expected for this time of year. We have been spoiled with a summer that seemed to be like a Beach Boys album, An Endless Summer, which kind of ended Friday night at 10:20 when the Brewers made their final out of the season, and then things started to turn cold. Funny how it works that way. From here, I want to take you to Washington, D.C., where their breezes are blowing strong as well there. This is the U.S. Capitol, of course, and now I'm going to take you inside the state capitol, and this is Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, who has been on the an amazing marathon session, and I just say amazing in terms of time. He said he's going to be going till about 4 o'clock our time. This is Senator Dick Durbin, Democratic Senator from Illinois. Let's listen into their exchange right now, if we could.
We can expedite the hearings and resolve them. The opposite has been the case. Was the senator aware of that?
I was not aware of that, no, and that's insanity.
Also asked the senator, when it comes to...
I yield in the nature of question.
Nature of a question. When it comes to the issue of due process, the question is whether or not we can in this country offer due process to the people who are asking for their fate to be resolved. That has been part of our Constitution, applying not only to citizens, but those who are in our country petitioning to become citizens. Does the senator agree with me that due process is a critical part of our democracy?
Absolutely.
Well, we face this reality now with children. I just described it earlier, and this is the question I would ask you is this.
I yield for the question.
Does the senator believe that these unaccompanied children need to have humane treatment at all times? You told the story earlier of going down to the border and watching what happened under previous administrations. Would the senator recount that story at this point?
Well, yes. I think you asked me to recount the story, and the story involved the fact that I read a speech by Attorney General Sessions, and Attorney General Sessions was delivering this speech at, I think it was called Freedom Park in Southern California on the border. And as I read the speech, I said out loud to people around me, it sounds like he's planning to separate children deliberately from their parents in order to have that trauma be a deterrent for people coming. And I said, there is no way any American administration, not blue, not red, would ever deliberately harm children as a political policy strategy. And a member of my team said, there's one way to find out. Go down to the border. And I checked, and I had that weekend free, so I was down to the border, and I go into this warehouse, and in this warehouse, there are all of these, basically what we'd call in Oregon, cyclone fence cages, wire cages. And I stop in front of one of them, and it has a group of boys lining up from the smallest to the tallest, and the smallest was just knee-high to the grasshopper, as we say, just a little tyke, maybe 4 years old. And I see these kids looking out across the warehouse because in other cages inside that warehouse were groups of...
If you're just joining us, I got to tell you what you're watching here. This is Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, who has been speaking since 5 o'clock our time Tuesday. So at the top of the hour, he will come up to 23 hours of talking, yielding only to questions currently from Democratic colleagues. I have not seen any Republicans try to interject and ask a question, nor I don't know if he would call on them, but we've seen a number of Democratic senators call on him. So we'll keep an eye on that to see how long he talks. But we are winding down right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk right now. I will see you today at Fox 6 News at 4, Fox 6 News at 5, Fox 6 News at 6. There's a theme developing here. Fox 6 News at 9 and Fox 6 News at 10. Ben Handelman is on assignment today. Thank you so much for being with us today. Go Bucks if you're going down there. And thanks for watching Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Cadellis from Fox 32 in Chicago. Joining me this week on First and North, let's bring on the crew. From Fox 2 in Detroit, I forgot what she looked like. Jennifer Hammond, welcome back. From Fox 6 Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. And from Fox 9 Minneapolis, Ahmad Hicks. Ahmad, did I say something that upset you? It's been a few weeks since you've been on with us.
We had some WNBA coverage. You know, they were in the playoffs, unlike Chicago. You know, Lou?
Ooh, taking a shot at us. Like only Ahmad Hicks can. All right, let's take a look at the NFC North standings after Week 7 before we get into the discussion. Packers sit atop the division right now after winning 2 in a row. Lions dominate on Monday night, sit at 5-2. Hey, the Bears are one of the hottest teams in the NFL with 4 straight wins. And the Vikings lose another home game. Minnesota's 3-3. All right, I want to start in Detroit where the Lions beat up the Bucks. Jen, I'll tell you what, you look back at what this team has done since 2022. The Lions, man, they're impossible to keep down. You go back to October of that year, 3 years ago, and Detroit is now a whopping 13-0 after a loss. How does Dan Campbell avoid the losing streaks with his teams?
You know, I think it goes back to what they started and built this team on from the very beginning, you guys, and that is a certain type of player, right? They wanted guys who love football, gritty guys, guys with chips on their shoulder. And I'll tell you something, there was no better thing to happen to the Lions than a week ago in Kansas City. Detroit versus everybody with the officiating, also with the way that the offense underperformed. Everything that went on in that game set up a big win for them on Monday night against Tampa. And I had a feeling, actually, I guaranteed that they were going to beat the Bucs because this team with a chip on its shoulder and a message to send, that message is always sent.
Wow, guaranteeing wins. I love it, Jennifer Hammond. Let's go inside the Lions locker room after the win.
Man, this really go to Shep, man. He didn't put us defense in a great position, bro. We go out and make plays, bro. I gotta give this to my defensive coordinator, man. I already know, bro. I ain't without y'all, bro. Forever in the day, this league been about players, always will be about players. That's why it was an honor for me to take this job. Fellas, it's only the beginning. Do y'all see how good we can be? Yes, sir. It don't matter. Nameless faces, we don't give a fuck. We line up and play anywhere. I love the fuck out of y'all, man. I appreciate the fuck out of each and every one of y'all. D-Bones is yours. Yes, sir.
What we didn't see was Jahmyr Gibbs was given one of the game balls as well. And he said he wants to show out when Barry Sanders is in the house, and Barry was there at the game. He did it on Monday night, man. He was awesome. Lions defense was terrific as well. Which, in your opinion, was more impressive, or were they equal?
Well, equal. I mean, I can't say anything to discredit that performance that Gibbs put on last night, reaching 22.7 miles per hour on his career-long 78-yard touchdown run. That thing was absolutely electric. And the way that he has become a much more physical runner, rushing between the tackles. And you didn't see it because we didn't show it in that clip there, but in the actual full clip, he goes and he tries to hand his ball to Penei Sewell, who had some amazing blocks, who just performed so well up on that offensive line yesterday. But for me, I think the real standout, because it's something we didn't expect whatsoever, was the performance of that secondary. They were depleted, missing all 4 of their starters, 2 corners, 2 starting safeties. Of course, we know Brian Branch was out because of that suspension. Kirby Joseph was injured, as was Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed. And all they did was go in there and limit a Buccaneers team that had been on fire to just 9 points. Their lowest out point since September of 2024. held them to just 353 total yards, 251 yards in the game yesterday after they had been averaging 353 in the previous 6 games. I mean, it was nothing short of unexpected and impressive, and the way that they have found and built depth on this roster, it's something that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have been really intentional about, going out and getting guys who can fill in, because as we know in the National Football League, and I kind of hate saying it sounds like a broken record, but it's not a matter of if you're injured, it's when you're injured, and they have really struggled trying to fill some of those gaps on the back end of the defense over the past seasons. Yesterday, that was not an issue at all. And when you've got guys like Whiteside, Millette, Harper, Hallett, and we can't even overlook Amik Robertson. He started the season as the nickel corner, and he has been just a dog and a leader. The punch-outs, the takeaways, his leadership on that defensive end has been just incredible. And they got a lot of push up front, too, that helped those corners and safeties do their job even better.
It was impressive, and they did it against what I feel is the front runner right now for the MVP this season in Baker Mayfield. Lily, let's jump to the Packers.
I think Jared Goff maybe heard some of those conversations and perhaps wanted to show something different.
Yeah, you might be right. Lily, I want to jump to the Packers. Looks like that 5-hour flight delay couldn't stop the Pack from getting a win in Arizona.
Yeah, it was one of those, when the report came out, it was, it's going to be one of those games, isn't it? And I mean, honestly, for the first 3 quarters, it kind of was that kind of game. The Packers looked sluggish in the first half. Nothing really was going right for them. They were getting down the field, but they were making mistakes. They were, going for the home run on a 4th and 5, and so things weren't really going right. And then in the 4th quarter, they figured it out. And granted, this is a Packers team that hadn't won on the road all season long. It was something they wanted to tick off the box in terms of getting a win on the road. They did that, but again, it was against an opponent they should have beaten. They didn't play their best, but in this NFL right now, a win is a win, and they're going to take one any way they can. So 4-1-1 looks pretty good, but again, the Packers haven't really played up to their full potential. But starting out the trip like that is not good. They were doing an impromptu walkthrough in the airport. So, they were able to kind of get their own planning done and go through their routine and get some rest. I know a lot of families were out in Arizona as well. So just not what they really wanted to deal with on a long road trip, but at least they came out with a win.
Hey, Lily, the Packers paid Micah Parsons to win games like Sunday. He delivered his first career 3-sack game. Tim Van Voren, your partner there at Fox Milwaukee, was out in sunny Arizona with the team, and all I gotta say is you have got to love live TV. Check this out.
Michael, we're live with FOX6 News.
All right, here we go.
Live in Milwaukee. Give me your impression of the last defensive drive of the game.
Oh, it was perfected in practice.
Hat trick right here.
Perfected in practice, and we just came out and performed what we practiced. I'm just happy we actually huddled up in practice for that same situation. It came up in the game, and we was able to execute. So super excited. I mean, and we went against you guys. You guys perfected your 4-minute. I mean, both ways.
We do that.
What we had to do, so it was great.
Do you have any questions?
I can't possibly top your efforts. Thank you.
Shout out to the crowd, man. Shout out to the crowd.
So I got Tucker Kraft.
FOX6 News. This is Tucker Kraft in Arizona. Thank you.
Tim was supposed to join us on the show, but he's smart. He decided to stay back in sunny Arizona so he could play more golf and lay by the pool and make Lily work, right?
Yeah, it's the unfortunate things of the airline business. You get stuck somewhere, you can't make it home in time, but I'm filling in for TVV. But that's what you love about it, is the live TV. You never know what's going to happen. So I think a lot of people, when they saw that, they're like, we kind of want Tucker Kraft to be like a part-time host and do interviews with his teammates, because that was just hilarious to see. I think Tucker did a great job, and Tim was like, man, I mean, you're kind of gunning for my job. So it was a really fun post-game interview to do with those guys and just get their reaction in real time. And again, like you mentioned, Micah Parsons, this is why Green Bay brought him to Titletown. It's to win games like this. When it comes down to the defense with 1:50 left, who do you rely on? The leader of your defense, and that's Micah Parsons. He comes in and shuts things down. 3 sack day for him was a career high, which I was surprised learning. I thought he would have had 3 sacks in a game thus far in his career, but he played his mind off, and that's why you want to bring a guy to a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So that move really paid off, especially on Sunday.
All right, Ahmad, let's jump into the Vikings, man. I told Pierre on last week's show, Vikings are getting the Eagles at the wrong time. Pierre told me, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Who's wrong now?
I think Carson Wentz was wrong on some of his reads. I was echoing the same thing. You know, I thought it was a prime opportunity for this team. And when you go back and look at the film and look at the All-22, I mean, they missed so many opportunities, whether it was the Justin Jefferson touchdown that he just couldn't hold in because Cooper DeJean knocked it out, or that fourth down touchdown to Jalen Naylor that got called back because of a bad holding penalty, and then several missed reads throughout the game from Carson Wentz. I mean, the Vikings certainly had an opportunity to win this game, but at the end, their secondary couldn't hold up. And it's funny because on Wednesday before this game, two corners were telling me they want the one-on-one matchups with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and they got more than what they bargained for. Those guys went for over 300 yards, so tough pill to swallow if you're the Vikings secondary.
Yeah, those guys were terrific for Jalen Hurts in that game. By the way, the question right now every week, actually, it sounds like in Minnesota, is like, who's the starting quarterback? How about it, Kevin O'Connell?
I know.
So we wanted to have a plan at the quarterback position, and it'll be very similar to last week. Carson will start, Max will be the backup, and JJ will be available in the case of emergency as the third. Like I said, encouraged about where he's at, and very much looking forward to continuing his progression and hopefully having a chance to go next week, and we'll keep you guys posted on that.
Carson Wentz is going to be the starter on Thursday night. Max Brosmer is going to be the backup, and J.J. McCarthy will be the emergency quarterback. Said they put him through a workout this morning, and they just didn't feel like his ankle was where it needed to be, and the last thing they want is a setback right now.
You know what? As I look at the whole picture, the quarterback picture of Minnesota, Ahmad, do you think the Vikings have any regret right now not signing Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold back?
Look, I know they tried to get Sam Darnold back, but they couldn't afford to pay him that, because if you afford to bring Sam Darnold or pay Daniel Jones or bring in an Aaron Rodgers like they were entertaining this offseason, the problem was still up front. It didn't matter who played quarterback. They weren't blocking for him the last couple of years. So I think everyone has talked about that when they look at the success Daniel Jones is having in Indianapolis and Sam Darnold's success in Seattle. But the moral of the story is you got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to protect your quarterback. And those are two areas that they addressed this offseason. So all they need is a competent quarterback to come in, be healthy, and just go through Kevin O'Connell's reads and get the ball out to his playmaker. So yes, while you look at these numbers, you're like, gosh, I wish we had one of those guys. You got to think about the other side. If you have one of those guys, you probably don't have a Javon Hargrave or a Jonathan Allen. You probably don't have a Will Fries or a Donovan Jackson or a Ryan Kelly at center. So it's like we can play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game, but if one of those quarterbacks was back here, there will be other holes on this team as well.
Well, I got news for you. If you don't have Hargrave and Allen, you don't win that first game here in Chicago against the Bears. And speaking of the Bears, right now they are 4-2 again after their first 6 games. Same record as last year, but I'm going to tell you why this year is different. First of all, the 2024 team, they beat awful teams like the Titans, Panthers, and Jaguars. This year's squad knocked off teams like the Cowboys, Raiders, Commanders, and Saints. Cowboys and Commanders much better than the other 3 from 2024. And Ben Johnson has a coaching staff that he's put together, and he's got a group of players that are believing. Everyone's believing, the coaches and the players. A number of young assistants like Declan Doyle, and older, grizzled, experienced assistants such as 70-year-old linebackers coach Richard Smith. And how about defensive coordinator Dennis Allen?
I have one game ball right now, okay? I already talked about defense, 4 turnovers, okay? Defense, 44 yards on the ground, all right? Defense, 4 sacks. Dennis Allen, come here!
Yeah, Allen fired after Week 9 last year in New Orleans as head coach, embraced here in Chicago. It's now as defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson would not allow his players to have a letdown game against the 1-5 Saints. He said, letdown, not in my vocabulary. He was also honest the day after the win over the Saints. Johnson told the media, we're always truth tellers. On Monday in particular, when it's good, we'll tell them when it's good. When it's bad, we'll tell them what we've got to clean up. Johnson finished up with this. The benefit when you win is usually you can coach a little harder. And after watching what he called his up and down offense, I assure you guys, on offense, this coach is going to be doing a lot of cleaning this season. All right, guys, coming up, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, who is the best team in the NFC? Is that team in this division? We will discuss when we come back here on First and North.
Dodgers take on Vlad Jr. and the Blue Jays. Game 1 of the World Series, Friday on Fox.
And that's Lions quarterback Jared Goff greeting his buddy Marcus Mumford from Mumford & Sons. Yeah, the band played at Little Caesars Arena last night while the Lions were battling the Buccaneers. But Mumford & Sons didn't hit the stage till 9, so Marcus said, what the heck, I'm going by Ford Field to see my first NFL game. How about that? That's a great sight. Luke and Ellis back at our Fox 32 studios in Chicago. Jennifer Hammond is at Fox 2 in Detroit. Hey, Jen, did you have a chance to meet Marcus Mumford?
I did not have a chance to meet Marcus Mumford, but I do love their music. And I did have a friend that was at the show last night, and he said that it was really cool because Marcus Mumford came out in a Hutchinson jersey to start the show. And as the concert went on, he was continually giving updates to the audience at LCA about the score of the Lions game, and that the crowd just went bananas. So everybody was obviously into the music, loving the concert, and also getting their Monday Night Football updates as well, because I think Wi-Fi maybe was a little sketchy with whatever it was, 30,000 people in the arena for the show last night. But Marcus Mumford, a huge Lions fan, and he and Jared Goff have a really cool friendship, and I think it's awesome that he was down there last night. I mean, more and more we're starting to see some stars coming out for the Lions games, and especially in primetime on Monday night, it's a place people want to be.
Yeah, apparently they built a friendship by playing golf in L.A., and he said he just wanted to see the Lions beat Baker, and that they did. And that's the beauty of Detroit. You can go to Ford Field and walk to Little Caesars Arena in a couple of block walk and be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's just 3 blocks. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, the downtown district in Detroit is phenomenal with Ford Field, Comerica Park, Little Caesars Arena, all of it just within walking distance. It's really lighting up.
Ahmad, maybe the best football stadium in the NFL is where you get to watch your Vikings. Vikings released their injury report, their initial injury report, because of the Thursday nighter against the Chargers. Are they going to get a boost from any of their players coming back?
Yeah, the only one that you're probably looking at is Andrew Van Ginkel. I do know they opened up the practice window for Aaron Jones. He told me after this most recent game that he's ready to go. He's just waiting on the team to kind of clear him. So I think they will get a boost from the running back position. It's not listed up there. I know Xavier Scott was the backup. He injured his wrist, but I think Aaron Jones will kind of step back into that lead back role, kind of help open up this offense a little bit, give them that receiving threat out of the backfield. But the one everyone's circling is Andrew Van Ginkel, because as you've seen in the past games, they just had a little bit of trouble getting the quarterback on the ground. Jonathan Grenard told me after the game, I'm getting there, but I have to finish the plays. It's inexcusable right now. So if Andrew Van Ginkel comes back, that's certainly a big boost for this defense.
And we know how good Justin Herbert is. Lily, Packers through 6 games right now, 8th in the NFL in points per game. Their defense top 10. It wasn't easy in Arizona, but Green Bay has the best record in the NFC right now. Do they think they're the best team in the NFC?
They may think it, but they're not passing the eye test. I'll be honest. It pains me to say, but they're certainly not passing the eye test. I will say the glass half full thing is they're not playing their best football, but they're still the top team in the NFC, and that tie looks really nice right now. So the view from up top, the NFC looks great. That being said, they know they have to play a lot better football to be a team that's going to make a deep postseason push. They will take the fact that they are number one in the NFC right now, but they know they have to improve. They're not playing their best football right now. They haven't really captured the way they played against the Lions in week 1. I think that's kind of what we've seen. The sky is the limit for this team when they play like they did in week 1, but they haven't really gotten back there yet. But I would expect that the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, they're going to see their best version of the Packers from that week 1 thus far on Sunday.
Jen, from the football I've seen, I think Detroit's the best team in the NFC. What do the Lions think?
Well, I think the Lions believe that they have a chance, but at the same time, like Lily was saying, they know they have not played their best football yet. They certainly played very well on the road at Baltimore, but as we've seen, that team has slipped, so perhaps that was maybe a little bit more of a mirage. But the Detroit Lions have not even begun to peak. Their defense played excellent last night, but the offense, 24 points, is nowhere near what this team is used to putting up. They were averaging 35 points per game before they came in against Kansas City and really struggled to move the ball. But at the same time, if they can win ugly and continue to win, they love this whole approach and mindset that they have. Any team, anyone, anywhere, anytime. Because they have shown now that they can go without 4 starters on defense and still are able to handle the opponent and really dominate on that side of the ball. And I think that the Detroit Lions maybe not only are the best team in the NFC, they could be one of the top 3 teams in the NFL right now. Their point total just slightly behind Dallas in the NFC, but they will get the Dallas Cowboys here on their field. They will also get the Green Bay Packers again on Thanksgiving here on their field. So we're going to see some really amazing battles. And after they come off this bye, which comes at a perfect time to heal up their injuries, they're going to have Minnesota in their house, and I think things are setting up very well for a great November for the Lions.
Well, they've got to come here. We're not going there again because we know what happened in game 2 when the Bears got their doors blown up.
And it's going to be cold.
Yes, it is. We hope so. Hey, Bears aren't the best team in the NFC. We know that. But are they the most improved, at least through 6 games? I'm saying this even though they have a 4-2 record, just like they did last season, and we know what happened to last season's team that lost 10 in a row. Bears won the 4th game last year, and Caleb was at his best. He threw 4 touchdown passes, 226 passing yards. He ran the football well, terrific passer rating. His passer rating was half as good against the Saints this week. It was his first game this season without a touchdown pass. He didn't throw for 200 yards. He was inaccurate, didn't run with the football like we have grown accustomed to seeing him run with the football, and he should have a few times. Botched a couple of snaps with his center. Speaking of Drew Dahlman, who took full responsibility for the botched snaps, he was part of an offense that was flagged 6 times, 5 pre-snap penalties. 5. It wasn't good. But I have the feeling that this is really going to get cleaned up under Ben Johnson. He's assured everyone who will listen that his team is going to be playing its best football come December. And if guys aren't, he's going to find players who will. He promised to fix the run game.